Interesting developments in the news coming out of my old hometown this week. Turns out, over on the far southwest side of town, this middle aged gentleman right here with a given a fuck ratio of less than zero put about 9 rounds into the body of a predatory miscreant scumbag who had come in to rob the place, waving a gun around, menacing customers. Predictably, he hasn't been caught. Predictably, the news narrative has become not how do people let any predatory miscreant scumbag get away with this thing to begin with, but they've actually turned the tables and tried to make the shooter a victim. As it turns out, his gun wasn't real. Too bad for him. The citizen, vigilante, avenger, self-defense, legitimate shooter happened to have a real firearm. And much like police and officer-involved shootings involving the same phenomena, could not tell the difference between that ultra-realistic airsoft gun and the, well, again, let me stress, real gun that the patron in question happened to be packing. With Kimberly Ogg as DA in Harris County and the current big city judicial narrative, who even knows how this one's going to turn out? But it speaks to a point that I've been making for a long time. That once you've taken the police out of the equation, you've made it impossible for them to do their jobs, and you've made the remainder of them unwilling to do their jobs. Sooner or later, good people will have had enough. You can expect a lot more of this going forward. Speaking of things we can expect a lot more going forward, we're going to hear a lot more about this. That's right. This week marked the anniversary of the quote unquote insurrection in Washington, D.C., where extremists stormed the Capitol and there were fatalities. Well, look, man, I don't need to belabor how the details are getting shifted and how the narrative is getting played with. We've all done it to death. But for a stark contrast, I would like to point out what's going on right now in Brazil. Take a good look at that. That is the Capitol building in Brazil. And you want to talk about people who have had enough? This is a Brazilian population that supported Bolsonaro. All of the same elements are there. Obvious, provable malfeasance in the election. Globalists backing establishment candidates when the people realistically are on the side of the candidate getting screwed. This is what it looks like. Just like this is what it looks like. Just like this is what it looks like when good people have had enough. Now, I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm not even taking a side here. I'm just saying that the results, if given the history, are completely predictable. Speaking of predictable results, we've been warning for a long, long time now about the potential hazards of rushing a vaccine to market. I mean, in fact, if you need something to hate on Trump for, there it is. One of the biggest mistakes he ever made, and he did it, I'm sure, with the best of intention, was rushing that vaccine to market. It didn't play out for him politically. Pfizer fucked him over and delayed it. The FDA fucked him over. And in the meantime, we get to pay the price because the incoming administration did, well, what it was predicted they were going to do. Vaccine mandates, pushing it for the military, pushing it for employers. And now, oh wow, imagine that. Deaths by all causes. Deaths by all causes, and we'll go into this later in the program, are up measurably and substantially. But you know, that one Orwell quote about how it was easy to keep the masses pacified as long as you gave them football and gambling. In fact, the only way to really get somebody's attention now is through, you know the deal, sports guy. Look, sports guy. And I have lamented at length the inordinate amount of importance that this culture places on professional sports. However, being of the political bent that I am, I have to say that this week it worked out tragically in our favor. This young man here, Damar Hamlin, professional football player for the Buffalo Bills, and by all indications, the antithesis of your typical sports guy. I did some digging and I couldn't find any evidence that he'd been involved in dogfighting rings or beating the shit out of his domestic partners or running from cops or dealing drugs or running with a thug crowd. I couldn't find anything like that. Almost across the board, they said this guy is a perfect fucking saint. During the Bills game earlier this week, he took a hit, made a tackle, inconsequential across the board considering he'd been involved in much rougher collisions even in that game. But as soon as he dropped, he stepped up to his feet and then dropped again, went into cardiac arrest on the field. Very, very frightening situation. And of course, it did the last thing that the establishment wanted. Called attention to, oh wow, what we've known about for a while. All over the place in foreign countries, professional athletes, young, healthy individuals dropping dead for no apparent reason, and it inevitably comes out that it was a cardiac related condition. What could the unifying factor be? What could the unifying factor be? But predictably, the establishment circled the wagons. Now listen, if it winds up being commotio cordis, if it winds up being an athletic related heart stoppage due to the impact, I will be the first person to step up and say, look, it was a perfectly reasonable explanation, had nothing to do with nothing. But again, the issue isn't about whether or not it was or it wasn't. The issue is with the abject fear of the establishment in needing to ridicule and shred anyone asking what, under these circumstances, is a perfectly reasonable question. Young, healthy athlete dropping dead. Well, here we've got a hard impact to the chest, and that's what caused it. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. This young lady, an MMA prodigy by any measure, Victoria Lee, died this week. There has been no release of the circumstances surrounding her death. Now, all I wish is for the honesty to come out. All I wish for is the truth. If it turns out that Victoria Lee had some undiagnosed condition, or tragically, if it was cancer, leukemia, just some random rare disease that took this woman's life, it would be just as tragic. But before the cause of death has even been announced, and guys, I'm going to call our team on this one as well, immediately people are jumping to conclusions. Now, I'm not saying anything about Victoria Lee's death except 3 words. I don't know. But please don't try to take the moral high ground with me in saying that I'm a bad person for asking what, under the existing circumstances, is a perfectly reasonable question. If you are afraid of the answer, it's on you. If you are afraid of the question, it's definitely on you. I mean, from the looks of things, it's almost as if there were some grand plot to, I don't know, reduce the population or something. Not that any famous figure had ever made any quotes to that effect. Nothing that we could hang our hat on. By the way, I got to thank Bill Ward, my buddy, for coming up with this little graphic. Bill, you're fucking amazing and you're hilarious. Yes, it's almost as if there was something sinister afoot. Why, I wouldn't be surprised if we looked behind the door of Fauci's office over at the CDC and found this guy. I mean, it would stand to reason at this point. Look, all kidding aside, the one takeaway that I really had from this, from the Damar Hamlin incident, beyond the first responders and their immediate reaction, was this reaction. We have lived for years in a culture that has ridiculed, that has put down, that has minimized, marginalized prayer, the power of faith, any of these things. And yet, on the field, publicly, in view of the cameras, keep in mind it wasn't that long ago that a particular person, a college athletic coach, had to sue, take it all the way to the Supreme Court to get his job back for praying at midfield. And yet, in light of this, we see Damar Hamlin and all of his teammates out there praying. ESPN, a man of faith, don't know his name, don't follow sports, but I am told that an ESPN reporter in the middle of the broadcast afterwards said that he felt, and I'm quoting here, convicted in his heart, and he bowed his head and he prayed on air. Now, you guys know that I do not follow the Christian path anymore. You guys that I know that I'm an awesome true heathen. You guys also know that I was raised in the church, steeped in the scriptures, and have firm advocacy and praise for anyone who finds strength in their faith. One of the oldest quotes, and it's attributed to Ernie Pyle and about 100 other people: there are no atheists in the foxhole. I think that is an appropriate analogy for the times into which we are headed. There are no atheists in the foxhole, just like there are no atheists on the sports field once someone has a heart attack. And going forward, the rough times and the dark days that we have ahead of us, there's not going to be any atheists anywhere. You find your strength in faith, you find it in yourself, but you better fucking find it, because you're going to need it. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and nobody else's on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors, and certainly not employers. Cannot stress that enough. They have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to choke you with a big, fat dose of swollen, turgid, thorny, oozing truth cock. Welcome back, boys and girls. It is time once again for the Sunday sermon. Happy to have you on board. Little awkward start trying to get the production thing down, but apparently we're here. We got a lot of the usual suspects. I'm going to do a little quick roll call. Everybody in for the drum roll. Where's the fire? Come on. Coming hard, charging out of the starting gate as we always do. The name of the band is Red Desert. Nice little gut-stomping rock and roll band from the smoldering embers and ruins of the once great American city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. The name of the band is Red Desert. The name of the track is Older No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older. Every week you guys get to decide if I've gotten any wiser. Some weeks I do better than others. In all honesty, this might not be one of those weeks. But stick around. We'll see what we can come up with, man. Appreciate you guys being on board. What do we got? What do we got? Brother David on board early. Bodie, hey. Good to have you on board. The original sinner sister herself, Miss Emmy. Kurt Voigt from the northwestern hinterlands. By the way, I got that meme that you sent. The first thought that popped into my head was, what do you mean turn it into a gay bar? It's the ATF headquarters. They're already there. Anyway, the mighty Stone Mike on board. Good to see you, brother. And of course, like and share, please, folks. Brother Ryan Adam Jenkins, my flesh and blood right there, man. The man who set me off on this journey. The man who has been an immeasurable amount of help in straightening me out in the early days of this thing. I was heading down a predictable path, and every evolution that I've been on with the sermon, he has advised and advocated and given me plenty of fucking really constructive input. Besides that, dude, I just fucking love the guy. He's done a lot for me. You don't find a lot of motherfuckers if you're lucky, you find 3 guys like that in the course of your entire adult life, if you're exceedingly fucking fortunate. Most people don't find one at all. I'm very fortunate to have Ryan Jenkins in my corner. I love you, brother. Thank you for being here. I think I saw G-Dub pop in at some point. We're going to fade the music down, have a couple of really good announcements. I'm going to lead off with an announcement that I'm very, very happy about. We're going to fade this bumper music out and get started on that here in just a second. Like and share, folks. All right. What was that? Was listening to Red Desert this week and thought this reminds me of Helmet. Kind of, yeah. Little more slow 2s and 4s, a little sludgier, not as, but yeah, I can see, I can definitely see the contrast and comparison there. Definitely see the contrast and comparison. All right, guys. We'll go ahead and fade this music out. Jump off into it. We got a ton of stuff to discuss, some of which we're going to go more in depth than others. Because again, this new direction I'm trying to take it, I am not trying to belabor the point and fucking beat everybody down with bad news, man. This is all about the vibe that in the end we fucking win, man. We do, and that's it. Keep your heads up. It's not about how many times we fail. It's not about all the trials and tribulations that we are subjected to. It is the ones that we endure and overcome, and that's where we're at. Special announcement. I can make it official now, and I'm very, very happy about that. Let me see if I can pull up. I tried to get the picture downloaded over here to the production screen, but I was not able to do that. See if I can pull it up here, and we'll just give a nice little up close. But folks, if you would be so kind as to welcome into the world Ruth Hannah Elizabeth Quinn, my third grandchild. That's right, boys and girls, my third grandchild. Reverend Bart is a grandpa 3 times over. Ruth Hannah Elizabeth Quinn. I was able to make it official finally after having a discussion with my beloved daughter Alex. Amazingly strong and resilient young woman. I've said it before and I will say it again. She is the strong woman that she is largely in spite of me, not because of me, and I own that. But to me, that makes the strength of her spirit and her convictions and her life that much more resolute. And I am abundantly and exceedingly proud of my beloved daughter. So, Ruth Hannah Elizabeth Quinn, my new grandchild. And yeah, that makes 3. So we got Abby, we got Timmy, and now we have Ruth Hannah. And she specified, she was like, that's not hyphenated, by the way. It's 2 first names. All right, cool. Yeah, however you want to do it, you know. We have a biblical name and something. I don't know what's the etymology on Hannah. Somebody look that up for me real quick. Anyway, yes, 3rd grandchild. Yes, hey, cool, man. We've got Roman and Carrie on board from opiumtales.com. Yes, let's bump the rev up in the algorithm. Algorithm, that's my college word. I got like 3 of those. But yeah, everything you can do, you like, you share, you bump up those check marks, it gets bigger and bigger exposure. Here's another announcement that's coming your way. I am in the process of backdooring Facebook. I anticipated a long time ago, and I've expressed as much here on the program, that they were going to try to fuck me out of those pages, and they did, and we went over that towards the end of the year. Fortunately, 6 ways in, 12 ways out, I'd planned ahead, and I had already secured the titles for 4 other pages to get something up and running in the event that eventuality did come to pass. So there will be another Reverend Bart-ish fan page on Facebook, so you will be able to take that in live. I am also working right now, and I'm going over YouTube videos every bit of spare time that I have to try to learn the StreamYard platform and become a little more comfortable and a little more adept at this particular production platform. So the better I get with that, we're going to be able to go live on BitChute and Rumble, which right now we can only carry the replay. So once I get the live stream up on BitChute and Rumble, that'll be 2 more. That'll be 2 more outlets that, as the legacy formats start squeezing conservatives out, and going on with their pattern of government-sponsored censorship, which is more and more obvious every fucking day. As they squeeze us out, we'll have back doors, and we will still be able to spread that gospel and get the word out. Let me real quick get sponsor shout-outs out of the way. First of all, since they're here, Roman from opiumtales.com, his lovely wife Carrie, and of course Allie and Roxy, the bevy of beautiful women over at opiumtales.com. He is back on Twitter now that Musk is running the show. I need to get Roman, I need to get on here, and again, learning the StreamYard format. I'm trying to figure out a way. I've only had 1 guest on the show before, and that was Casey Tellison, and I'm going to give you some more words about Casey here in a minute. and I had to have him live in studio there at the Bart bunker. It's the only guest that I've ever had on the show. But hopefully, as I get better at this StreamYard thing and learn the format a little bit better, I'll be able to have those online guests making appearances. And I would love to get Roman on, particularly because of his proximity to the tech issue. Again, I'm not going to out him yet, but yeah, he's definitely an asset who is in the know about a lot of those things that we've covered. So I would like to get Roman on, and also my friend David Peterson, Filterless Dave, we call him. I would like to get him on to talk about that as well. Primarily because I know I'll get some pushback from David. But anyway, again, in completing the sponsor shout out, opiumtales.com. They are the erotic pinups and portraits people. Roman has always been a gifted artist. He's doing some beautiful watercolor work over there. And if you dig naked women, and who doesn't, it's worth checking out. And even if you're not down with the naked women thing, if you're digging testosterone driven commentary and, political criticism and whatnot, he's got you covered on that front too. Plus, he's one of my oldest and dearest friends. We go all the way back to 1988, and I'm happy to have him on board both as a friend and a sponsor. Talking about Roman over at opiumtales.com. Go check him out. Also, real quick, since I just mentioned Casey Tellison, I got to bring up Casey and Dusty Tellison, my Viking brothers over at Nordic Smoke Barbecue. They are the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. What? I was giving... Stop. No. Look, let's try it again. They are the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. Well, but I was over at something... Shut the fuck up. The only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. Period. End of statement. Fucking done. Check them out on all the social media platforms, talking about Nordic Smoke Barbecue. They have the Long Ship. One of these days they're going to have to put a dragon head on that fucking thing, but that's their big smoker trailer. They've got it out. They do catering. They handle holiday birds. They can do your events. And we can work something out if you need something shipped, I am assured. So get with us and we'll make it happen. They actually had to ship a holiday bird a couple of years ago. You know, they've done a holiday bird every year since I've been in the Northwest. They actually had to ship one to Texas for me when I was out on a crane gig. But anyway, great people, great friends, and long-time sponsors of the show. So thanks for being on board, talking about Casey and Dusty Tellison at Nordic Smoke Barbecue. What is this, G-Dub? If you're using StreamYard, adding guests should be easy. Yes, it should. G-Dub, yes, it should. Here's the thing about the word should. This is something that stuck with me ever since my first year of high school debate, okay? Should. The word should, as defined, because definition of terms in debate, particularly Lincoln Douglas debate, which is my specialty, is very, very important. Should is defined by Black's Law Dictionary, first edition, as meaning, ready for this? And I quote, ought to, but not necessarily will. Anytime you hear the word should, I want that to resonate in your head. It has stuck with me since my freshman year in high school. I hear the word should. We're out on the job site. Hey, man, this pick should be easy. Ought to, but not necessarily will. So there's that. Anyway, what do we got? Ryan. So fucking tired I can't drive off location, might fall asleep to the sermon. Hey, look, man, if this is your lullaby, so be it, brother, so be it. Happy to be of service, but goddamn it, get some rest, brother, get some fucking rest. And man, definitely, please, get some rest and fucking be safe out there. Brother Ryan down in West Texas, just this side of the New Mexico border, doing some work down there. Fucking crane operator extraordinaire. Brother, sleep right now. Turn off the fucking program or just put it on the background. Lay the fuck down. Sleep. Do it. And I'm going to jump into the rabbit hole here. If you want to hold out through the rabbit hole, that's fucking fantastic. Anyway, guys, speaking of, let's go ahead and roll with that. That's right, our very first segment, that popular segment, Ryan's Rabbit Hole. One of the things that Brother Ryan and I bonded over early on is that we are both repositories of useless information. We are murdered to play a game of Trivial Pursuit against. However, for the average layman, we start talking, people's eyes glaze over because we will get into some really, really obscure shit. But this has become a very popular segment. Every week we do a little departure and we go down the rabbit hole. And what the rabbit hole is something to take you out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's a piece of history that you've been previously unaware of. Maybe it's just a random factoid. Maybe it's a historical figure. Maybe it's a world event. Maybe it is a political phenomenon. Maybe it is some esoteric shit. It could be anything. Some weeks we go esoteric, and Ryan makes me work for it. Some weeks we go esoteric, some weeks we go historical, some weeks we go conspiratorial, some weeks we just go fucking obscure. But it's always just a little departure. Give you a little something that after the sermon you're like, hey man, I'm going to look that up and I'm going to find out more about it. Because when you take people out of their comfort zone and you tell them about stuff that they weren't aware of before, that's how we get the intellectual development going. It's like, fuck man, I've never, blah, blah, blah. And you know, now that we have the acquired knowledge of all of human history right here, clickety click, just a couple of clicks away or a couple of little thumb scratches away on these fucking devices. There's no excuse not to expand your horizons. And with that, we jump into Ryan's rabbit hole for the week. There are going to be two search terms that I'm going to give you. The first is sandworm. Sandworm, just like it sounds. Just like Tremors, you know, the fucking sandworms. And by the way, that prepper living in the desert, his name should have been Bart Gummer. Bart Gummer, motherfucker. Do you understand me? Thank you. Fucking Hollywood better correct that shit. Anyway, Russian sandworm specifically. Russian sandworm. Holy fuck! Do we have some weird extraterrestrial parasite? No. Is it a cryptid? Some phantom out of cryptozoology that has recently surfaced, pardon the pun, and is fucking wreaking havoc on human civilization? No. Russian sandworm. The Russian sandworm is basically a hacker collective, and they have been blamed. Okay, they have been blamed for everything from attacks on Ukrainian electrical infrastructure to attacks on American electrical and utility infrastructure to rigging elections and ballot boxes in the 2016 election. Yeah, can you believe that shit? Even Clapper had to fucking shut that one down, that lying fuck, and he had to fucking say, no, dude, they had nothing to do with it. In any case, when you throw in Russian sandworm hackers as a search term, the results are predictable because, again, particularly if you're using Google as a search engine, because that algorithm, remember my college word, is specifically engineered to disregard certain results to push a narrative. The first results that I popped up just with this random, just clicking in just now. First one was from the Washington Post. Russian sandworm hackers deployed malware in Ukraine. That was from November of last year. From Wired magazine, Russia's sandworm hackers attempt a third blackout. Okay, something tells me that Russian ordnance probably would be a lot more effective in knocking out a power grid over there, but they put that on them. And the third one was from TechCrunch.com. U.S. offers bounty for sandworm. Russian hackers blamed. Again, they have become part of the great Russian boogeyman. Now, do I believe that there is a group of hackers, potentially Russian, that are working as a collective, that are working either as agents for state players or working on their own accord, or to quote Michael Caine, Bruce Wayne from the Batman films, guys that just want to watch the world burn. I mean, that's something that can't be ruled out as a possibility. But what that leads me to is the second search term that I'm going to give you for the rabbit hole. And that one, my friends, is Stuxnet. Stuxnet. Now, that isn't a hacker collective. That's a specific worm. And again, you would have to talk. This is why I need to get Roman and why I need to get David Peterson on here, get Filterless Dave on here to explain some of these things. Because, again, while I can understand a lot of this stuff conceptually and understand how it works within a historical and a geopolitical context, I'm not a tech guy, right? Like if you ask me, well, specifically, how is this engineered to function within the set parameters of the algorithm to upset the balance of the relays to the infrastructure code? And, immediately, eyes glaze over, and I'm like, talk to this guy. Uh, a man's got to know his limitations, to quote a Dirty Harry film. Um, but here's the thing: the Stuxnet virus. It's a worm. The earliest incarnations of it, the earliest manifestations of it that they can definitively prove, was right around 2009, 2010. And when it really, really made the headlines was because, Iran, those guys who are in keeping with the nuclear deal and following all the things that they signed for, just like they said they would, and certainly wouldn't step outside of the sweetheart deal that Biden and Obama cut them. Yeah, turns out they were, and suddenly out of nowhere, and apparently this attack originated in Israel. Now, whether or not it was Israeli hackers, programmers that sent it, or American state actors, since we are basically a client state of Israel for all intents and purposes now. Um, it hit Iran's new their nuclear reactor complexes were hit, but more to the point, it did massive infrastructure damage to their uranium enrichment facilities. What does that mean, people who really aren't nuclear fags like I am? Um, Basically, you have to enrich the uranium to make it weapons grade. Okay. And Iran had said that they weren't working with certain facilities and weren't working with certain procedures to take it to a certain level of enrichment. And as it turns out, all of these things were fucking false. But the Stuxnet virus was basically a big kick in the nuts. And, if you know anything about Krav Maga, the fact that that kick in the nuts came from Israel is fucking hilarious in its irony. Anyway, uh, so what does that have to do with the Russian sandworm hackers? I'll tell you what it has to do with it. It has to do with narrative, okay, versus practice. Cyber infrastructure is, and I am assured by not just Roman, but Filterless Dave and all of my fucking tech friends, that the vulnerabilities of cyber infrastructure are terrifyingly wide. Um, there are some very, very frightening vulnerabilities. And the fact that they haven't been more exploited up until now is, in fact, fucking miraculous. But anytime that state actors or renegade NSAs, non state actors, like the Russian Sandworm Collective, which may or may not even exist, things like this happen. If you guys grew up reading cyberpunk novels, right? William Gibson, John Shirley. If you guys grew up, you have some tentative understanding of how this works. When you have a corporate controlled media to push a specific narrative, and when big tech is helping out and controlling the release of information in that narrative, suddenly a group like the Russian Sandworm Collective, bum bum bum. Did you hear that obvious? Did you hear that ominous music? Every time you think about that, and as we've discussed here on the program before, the easiest way to keep people frightened and dependent on their government is to have that mysterious boogeyman. Orwell went into it at length, okay? Epstein in fucking Orwell's 1984. Nobody knew who the fuck he was. Nobody ever seen him. We had what we thought he was, but all you had to do was bring up Epstein. Bum, bum, bum. Here comes the ominous music. It's the same thing. I would love, as the Russophile that I am, I would love to believe that there is some semi-omnipotent group of specific Russian hackers that are puppeteers on the cyber terrorism world stage and can turn off the world with the flick of a switch. That would be beautiful. I don't believe that. That's not in all likelihood the way that it is. But it's important to understand the narrative. And when they are delivering the boogeyman to you, the Russian Sandworm Hacker Collective, then anything that happens, say power stations in North Carolina or Washington or California suddenly going offline, you've got two boogeymen. You've got two ready-made boogeymen. When something happens and you need to tighten the strings, if you are in control, you got to fucking tighten that throttle a little bit. Oh, we need harder laws. We need to be able to spy on people. We need to fucking, institute new surveillance. You got a boogeyman, right? What was it? The act of right wing extreme, power grid goes offline, or a particular substation gets fucking wrecked and goes offline and blacks out the East Coast. Oh, dude, nothing like that could ever happen. Really? Do I need to refer you back to the late 1970s and what happened as a result of one power station going down and it blacked out the entire fucking East Coast? Do I need to let you know what a Carrington event, coronal mass ejection, would do to the power grid? Do I need to reiterate any of that? But doesn't matter what actually happened. It's about the fucking narrative. Power station goes offline. Was it the act of right-wing extremist? Boom, boom, bah. Or was it something more sinister? Something cyber, like the Russian Sandworm Collective. Boom, boom, bah. Do you understand how this is working? Now, because critical thinking trumps bullshit, pardon the pun, trumps bullshit political narratives 100 times out of 100, the way that you insulate yourself from that narrative control is to study these phantoms, study these boogeymen. That way, when they tell you about an action by the Russian Sandworm Collective, bum bum ba, you can look and go, wow, that's bullshit. What are they trying to sell me? Do you understand? Again, Russian Sandworm Collective, do these hackers exist? Sure. Are they from Russia? We'll never know. Are they working as agents for intelligence services? Or are they working as non-state actors? We'll never know. Are they renegades? Do they have an agenda, or do they just want to watch the world burn? We'll never know. But the one thing about the official story is it's consistently bullshit. So I want you to go down that rabbit hole. I want you to examine the ransomware stuff that has been attributed to the Russian Sandworm. I want you to examine the infrastructure attacks that have been attributed to the Russian Sandworm. And then I want you to go further down the hole. I want you to dig deeper. And I want you to get your brain in tuned so when they try to sell you something and make the Russian Sandworm the boogeyman, you're going to be a little bit harder to reach. And that's why we're also sending you down the Stuxnet rabbit hole. There are people out there with skill sets. Some of them are acting on behalf of nation states. Some of them are acting on behalf of corporations. If you brought up on Cyberpunk, you already know. But they're out there, and they do have these skill sets. Whether or not something attributed to them actually comes from them is for you to decide. Don't let them get in your head. Consider yourself aware. So go down that. It is a two-pronged rabbit hole this week. Russian Sandworm, or Russia Sandworm Hacker would be your search term. And the other one, Stuxnet, Stuxnet. And I'm going to check real quick and see if I... Yes. Okay. Yes. So I covered everything. G-Dub. What do we got? G-Dub. Oh shit. You mean the GRU? Yes. Yes. The GRU. The GRU is basically Russia's answer to the NSA, in the same way that the KGB is analogous to the CIA. The GRU, they're the top dogs. What some people in the know refer to as people that live there and survived the Soviet era. Some of the GRU heavy hitters are referred to as the others, right? So so what are you doing? What is this operation? You guys are to set up a perimeter. Who is arriving in the helicopter? The others. We are not actively involved in the operation. They have decided to hand this one off to a higher authority, and they are bringing in the others. You hear that shit, your life expectancy can be measured in fucking minutes. Anyway, yes, in a roundabout way, talking about the GRU, G-Dub. Mossad, it's never an accident. Yes, and G-Dub, we've had that discussion specifically with Stuxnet. What do we got? Oh, wow. Next, you'll be saying that Russia bought a badass worm from a certain Middle Eastern country in exchange for a list of shit they sold and to who. Well, yeah, man. And if we're going to be that conspiratorial about it, next we'll be saying that holy shit, man, a sitting vice president had his son put in a sweetheart position, got a Ukrainian prosecutor fired. Now he's completely compromised to a fucking coked out clown shoe like Zelensky. I mean, god damn it, dude. How crazy do we want to take this, man? Anyway, hopefully you guys will get a lot out of the rabbit hole again. And Russian Sandworm Hacker Collective and Stuxnet. All right, let's jump back into some of the things that we covered in the opener. Take a good look at this, boys and girls. Again, keep in mind that picture separates. The picture on the right is a separate picture from the one on the left. Basically, what happened was this predatory miscreant scumbag walked into a taqueria off of South Gassner in Bel Air and started waving a fucking gun around. Turns out his gun wasn't real. Turns out that middle-aged bald motherfucker on the right, his gun was real. Take a good look at that guy on the right. You guys have heard me talk about threat assessments before. What do I always tell you? It's never the guy who was ripped and shredded and built like a Calvin Klein underwear model that you have to worry about. It is that middle-aged dude with a bald head, a little paunch of a gut, thick ass fucking forearms, thick shoulders and traps, and that one ear that kind of cocks off to the side. And every time I fucking say that, they go, "Hey Bart, you being a little subjective there because that's you, bro. That's a description of you." Yeah, well, in this case, it turned out to be accurate. This middle-aged, balding motherfucker driving a red Ford pickup truck, he waited till the guy got past him, and best accounts have it that he put 9 rounds into that motherfucker and DRT, dead right there. Let's all take a moment and stand and applaud the actions of this gentleman. I love it when there's a happy ending. Love it when there's a happy ending. He basically, the guy that was there, he was robbing the place. He had taken everybody's wallets and watches and cell phones and everything else. The guy waited till he got past him, put 9 rounds in him, and then went through the bag, gave everybody shit back to him. Here's your wallet, here's your phone, thank you very much. Here's your gold jewelry, here's your Rolex, blah, 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 blah. And fucking exited stage left, hopped into his truck, and fucking bailed. And he wasn't waiting around. Now, if we're speculating, and I'm going to be here, I'm going to speculate that this guy probably does not have a permit. What he did, and the law enforcement authorities, much to the chagrin of Houston District Attorney Kimberly Ogg, who would probably try to get murder 1 on this guy for having the audacity to smoke one of her protected criminal class. I figure what probably happened is this guy was minding his own business. He sees what's going on. He cannot take the fucking risk. But he shot him in the back. It wasn't a fair fight. Dude, let's assume that airsoft gun had been the real fucking McCoy. Tell me again about a fair fight. He walked in waving a gun around. Okay? He walked in fucking waving a gun around. As far as threat assessment, he continues to be a threat for as long as he is present and that gun is in his hand. Let's say he gets he got all their wallets. He was just going to leave. Do you know that? Do you fucking know that? What's to say that he wouldn't have fucking gotten to the door, turned around and looked, saw that fucking surveillance camera, and went, "Oh no, fuck this, no witnesses," and gone through and blazed and fucking smoked everybody in the building? Unlikely? Absolutely. Impossible? Not by a damn sight. But beyond that, you guys know my position on this. Once you have introduced the threat of lethal force to the equation, you forfeit your life. Period. End of statement. Fucking done. That's it. You wave a gun at me. You picked when the fight started, Sparky. I get to decide when it's over. If I decide to pull a tricky little thing and wait until you turn your back on me so I can get the drop on you, that is exactly what I'm going to fucking do. There are plenty of videos that you can find online where legit self-defense shootings took place, where an armed civilian waited until the gunman was distracted, or basically did no, I'm just going for my wallet, oh, surprise, bang. There's no such thing as a fair fight, right? And all of these armchair quarterbacks and all of the Pollyannas and maggot enablers who are out there saying this guy was self-defense and there was no call for that. He was only going to rob the place. He wasn't going to shoot him. Enough. Enough. But what does this all tie back into? What have I been saying for as long as we've been doing the program? And if you know me and you're a friend of mine, you know I've been saying it forever. Eventually. In fact, there was a tweet that I just posted on this last week. Eventually, you're going to see a lot more of this because people have no choice. Soros appointed or Soros assisted district attorneys or Pollyanna, bleeding heart, bail reform, whatever, like what you currently have in Chicago, what you currently have in Houston, and a number of other large American cities who will turn. I will give you an example. Here's just to put the Houston thing in perspective for you. Kimberly Ogg's district attorney's office. There was a guy who had already forfeited and failed to show on two prior felony bonds. Two prior felony bonds, both involving violence, okay? Another incident came up where he discharged a firearm at a police officer. Didn't hit him, didn't injure him, didn't kill him, but took shots at a police officer. Kim Ogg her DA's office released this maggot on a PR bond. For those of you who aren't familiar with the nomenclature, PR bond means personal recognizance. Okay, basically turn him loose. Okay, well, you've already ducked out on 3 felony bonds. I know you just shot at a cop, but if we give you a court date, you'll show up, right? Yes, I will show up. Yeah, I'll be there. All right. Well, you're a historically marginalized community, so you go on about it. I'm just going to be over here dealing with my white guilt. Fuck you. Fuck you in the neck with my boot sideways. Enough. But literally, the memories feature on Facebook, something popped up, and I think I just reposted it. You can go to my personal page and see. That, I think it was from 3 years ago, that a person had just been killed. A person had just been killed in Houston. It was a victim of a prior domestic. The DA's office released him on a PR bond. He got out, went back, and killed her. Now, that would be a fucked up enough situation, but it turned out that this was, I want to say 1,200, maybe 1,500. I'm going to lowball it and say 1,200. 1,200 people who had been severely injured or killed by suspects who were out on PR bonds as a result of DAs who refused to do their fucking job. Look, you can expect a lot more of this. Good people have had enough. You're going to see this kind of stuff happen. You guys know what's going on in my current hometown right now in Spokane. Aaron, if you're watching, feel free to jump in. We have a homeless camp, and the sheriff's department has done their best to do what they can to contain it and get rid of it. The police department is also on board. Hell, even the Spokane mayor, for a change, we actually got a mayor who is on board. The district attorney, reluctant to prosecute anyone who commits property crimes coming out of this fucking camp. So they're stealing everybody blind. The bunker is now literally a bunker. We have camera coverage over every square inch of the property. And we have redundant motion detector lights that come on and light the place up like fucking 4th of July if there's any kind of motion. So our stuff gets left alone, but they hit my next door neighbor twice in the span of 3 days. We have them on camera everywhere, time and time again, testing doorknobs across the street, just walking up and jiggling the doorknob, see if it's fucking locked, and then going on about their business. The police don't have the resources to send anybody out to take a report because there's literally just so much going on, and it's all coming from Camp Hope. Oh, sorry, you misspelled dope, Sparky, but it's about 20 square blocks. So what happened? This cunt, Julie from Jules Helping Hands, maggot enabler queen, she got with some high profile Spokane attorneys and she had a federal stay placed on it. Sheriff Ozzie was getting ready to go and shut the whole fucking show down. And she got the feds involved to where nobody could touch him. They come in, they go out. I posted this week, they caught somebody literally 20 feet from the gate. 20 feet from the gate coming out of the camp because he'd just been in there with a motor vehicle. They found 900 Mexies. Those are blue fentanyl tablets, by the way. The shit that's killing everyone. They found 900 Mexies, 3 fucking handguns, some meth, some heroin, and, oh look, an ID from Camp Hope. They know where it's coming from. They know how to contain it. But DAs and politicians are making it impossible. Okay, that's fine. Again, I'm not going to black pill you here. What I'm saying is that sooner or later, people have had enough. This guy easily could have let that guy walk out the fucking door. But he said, no, I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you something on a very personal level. Even if in that moment he made the conscious decision, I don't really feel threatened anymore, but you know what? Fuck this motherfucker. I still back his actions 110%. They are trying to find a reason now, as I said they would, they are trying to find a reason to prosecute him. Because by any penal code measure in the state of Texas, and you guys know Texas, they don't fuck around. They've got a very, very broad, very wide berth in the penal code for self-defense shootings. He's clean on this shoot. He is clean, 100%. They are looking for a reason to prosecute him. Why? Because it is politically inexpedient. Inexpedient, that's my college word. I got like 3 of those. For Kim Ogg and her DA's office, since they are refusing to do the fucking job, and people are starting to take it into their own hands. If he gets away with it, they make an example. We all know the persuasion. And look, this is not a conspiracy theory. There is nothing tinfoil hat about it, okay? The people who are making these calls, these district attorneys that refuse to look at actual crime statistics, these social engineers, these equity-based bail reforms, all of these things, they are fucking disasters. And the people who are there, they're smart enough to know it, and they are going forward with it anyway to appease their political base. Which would be fine if people weren't getting killed for it. Eventually, decent human beings will have had enough. We have arrived at that point, which is why the mainstream media, the local network affiliates, who feel exactly the same way, have to paint it in the light of this is not acceptable behavior. Because if he does this and he fucking walks, just like if Kyle Rittenhouse does what he does and he fucking walks, why decent people might get the idea that shit, we're on our own, nobody's going to help us, but if we start bleeding these maggots out, at least we're not going to jail. And if that happens, good God, man, I mean, it's going to be horrible. Suddenly predatory miscreant scumbags and maggots are going to have to think about consequences for their actions. Suddenly, the taxpayers won't have to fucking fund a revolving door justice system because these fuckers will bleed out on the goddamn street. The only thing taxpayers will have to fund is the fucking coroner vans to come around and pick them up, because I promise, in a big city like Houston, with the number of decent people there are there that have had enough and feel victimized, once it's open season, you'll be able to stack those bodies like fucking cordwood. Don't feel bad about this. And don't let them gaslight you into thinking that you are a bad human being for applauding what this guy fucking did. I guarantee you, the customers that are sitting in there, they might say whatever they have to for the cameras, but deep down, they're thankful he was fucking there. I am too. Good on you, buddy. Haven't identified him yet. Hopefully he'll just fucking vanish. Hopefully he'll be, fucking Paul Kersey from fucking Death Wish. He's fucking vanished. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. Maybe he'll waste a few more of these maggots before it's fucking over with. Good on him. Maybe the sight of a red 60s, 70s Ford pickup truck will strike fear into the hearts of scumbags all over the Houston metro area. And if so, bravo, good sir. Thank you. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for setting the example. People like you, people like Kyle Rittenhouse, scumbags are scumbags. If you are not going to protect us, we are going to protect ourselves. Okay? That's not black pill. Again, in keeping with the new direction we're trying to take this thing, this isn't a black pill issue. This is affirmation, man. This is affirmation. People who are taking care of business are doing exactly what they should, and we need to applaud them. We need to help them. We need to assist them. We need to enable them. Something like this happens at a taqueria where you're having fucking dinner. What did the guy look like? Dude, I don't know. I got caught up in the moment. What was he driving? Oh shit, man. You know, I was in fear for my life. I just can't remember. You live next door to this guy, and you know who the fuck it is. You take the guy some fresh baked fucking cookies, and you take your ass back to the house and be thankful that you got a guy like that living next door. That's how the world gets better. That's how the world gets better. And all you bail reform maggots, remember what you're enabling? Because if you would have just kept your mouth shut, it wouldn't have gotten to this point. If you would have been able to realize the error of your ways and the error of your policies, it would not have gotten to this point. Now it's here. The grown-ups are back in charge. People are going to die. Get your head around that. But I don't have a problem with people dying, so long as it's the right people dying. And if miscreant scumbags like that are the ones that wind up bleeding out, good on them. All right, that'll be it for the first headline, first bullet point. The Houston Taqueria shooting. Okay, what else? What else happened in the news this week? Again, we're not going to belabor a whole lot of points. In keeping with the new direction, I want to keep this moving forward. I want to keep this upbeat. I want to keep this. I want to keep this on the level, a short version. Instead of, hey man, the world's fucked up, and hey man, the world's fucked up, and we got to wreck this, and we got to wreck that, and you know, it's like, no man. In keeping with the personal epiphanies that I'm having. And I got to say this, our first little trip down Tangent Street today. I think a lot of this can be chalked up to the microdosing. I am still the same hostile, misanthropic, distrustful of authority, angry, frustrated, violent individual that I have always been. Okay? Nothing about that has changed. But the epiphanies that I'm having, the life changes I'm going through, the evolution that I'm going under, that I'm undergoing right now, largely, I think, upon examination, could have a lot to do with the microdosing. But as I stated in my New Year's sermon last Sunday, the world can do whatever the fuck it's going to. Like that taqueria shooting. The world, that side of Houston, always going to be fucked up. My world doesn't have to be affected by that. The taqueria shooter doesn't require my approval. He doesn't require, the issue doesn't require my opinion. I'm not going to let it get to me, right? I have my opinions. I have my reservations about that cunt Julie and Jules Helping Hands and all of the miscreant scumbags at Camp Dope. They're off the 90 in Freya in Spokane. Doesn't matter. It's not going to make me live on edge. I'm going to fix the things that I can fix. Thankfully, I've got Aaron there looking out for the place. He is of the same mind, and, he's on point with regard to the security measures. This is stuff that I can fix. Beyond that, I ain't going to let it get to me, man. I ain't going to let it get to me. No reason the Rev shouldn't be getting paid for that. Bro, I'd love that. Nah, I would love that. What do we got? Opium Tales. get him to over 1,000 subscribers, then he can monetize and go live from his cell. This is also true, guys. And hey, look, man, look, I would love to have this. I would love to have this be a for-profit enterprise. That was the goal starting out. But I'm going to tell you, man. Um, as a labor of love, it started out as my therapy. It continues to be my therapy. So you guys are my circle. You guys are my 12-step group. And our serenity prayer is, Lord, give me the courage. Grant me the serenity. Grant me the serenity to ignore the murders that I cannot change. The courage and hostility to implement the murders that I can, and the firepower to make the difference. That is going to be our that's going to be our serenity prayer. Reverend Bart's 12-step meeting. Yeah, I'd love to be able to monetize this thing, and I think it's yeah, Joel, I will. Um, I'd love to be able to monetize this thing, but in the meantime, between time, man, it's my therapy. It helps me get it out, and that's where we are. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. What happened this week on a national level? I am not even going to, again, in keeping with the new direction we're going with this, I'm not even going to get into the madness surrounding McCarthy's certification as House Speaker. The guy is a globalist. He's a statist. He's a piece of shit scumbag. He's a rhino of the lowest fucking possible order. He's a horrible candidate for speaker. He's a horrible human. I would have much preferred Steve Scalise, but we're not going to go into it. All of the political shuffle that went on was entirely predictable, 100%. You know, rhino's going to rhino, statist going to state. You know, nothing can be done about that, and I'm not going to get dragged into it. I have my opinions on it. Dan Crenshaw, thank you for your service. Having said that, you can kiss every square inch of my white Aryan ass. Eye patch McCain motherfucker. I have never had a bigger disappointment in the history of my following of political stuff. But again, we're not going down that route. What do we note this week? Here's what we will touch on: the anniversary of the January 6th, what Andrew Clavin calls the January 6th kerfluffle uh, at the Capitol. I want to say at the outset, I am not advocating. I am not cheerleading. I'm not doing a goddamn thing. Everything is more complex than we fucking make it. And nuance and subtlety is fucking dead. I'm upset about a lot of things about January the 6th. I am of the opinion that had it been a legitimate insurrection, and again, what did we go over? What did we go over in the opener? What does this look like? This is the support of Bolsonaro in Brazil. What do they have in common with the January 6th protesters? Well, I'll tell you what. No guns. Don't call it an insurrection when you got 500,000 people. You got 500,000 people, 500,000 pairs of boots on the ground in Washington, D.C. Let's lowball it and say 250,000. 250,000 people with pitchforks and baseball bats would have taken and held the Capitol, and there would have been precisely fuck all that anybody could have done about it. This is not an insurrection. It was not a revolution. It was not the biggest attack on our democracy since 9/11 and the Civil War. Go fuck yourself. Please stop. Please stop. It's disingenuous. I am friends with Pat Miletich. Pat Miletich, Coach Pat, is a UFC Hall of Famer. Beyond being a UFC Hall of Famer and an amazing fucking athlete and a public advocate for what is right and good with this world and an upstanding human being, beyond all that, he lost a gig over this. because he was there in D.C. He didn't go into the Capitol. He didn't even go up to the fucking Capitol. He was in D.C., close to the Capitol. He took some pictures with some people because he's Pat fucking Miletich. People want to do a little grip and grin. Hey, Coach Pat, can I get a picture? Yeah, right. He took some pictures. Legacy, the fight promotion that he was a color commentator for, lost their spine and their balls, and they cut him loose because politically it wasn't an expedient thing for them. So I'm upset about that. Ashley Babbitt took a round in the neck while presenting a threat to literally no one's life, and that trigger got dropped on the direct orders of Nancy Pelosi, who was standing behind the Capitol security officer that discharged that fucking weapon. The security officer in question had been previously disciplined for leaving his service weapon in a public restroom. He took a piss, he left, and he left his fucking gun in the restroom. Any way you fucking slice it, man. These same maggots who are quick to jump on every fucking law enforcement use of a firearm that winds up in somebody dead. You know, to say on this one. This week we got treated a whole lot of lies. The cadaver-in-chief, Biden, stepped up to the microphone. They said the same thing that they've been pushing about Officer Sicknick since the whole fucking thing started. Initially, they said that he was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. No, that never happened. Legitimately, the only fatality that took place on January 6th that we can absolutely trace back to January 6th. Yes, I understand on the other side of the building there's some people getting beat up by cops and they died very shortly. Yeah, I get that. You make a case for it. Ashley Babbitt, one fucking fatality. And which side was that on? Right. She's wearing a MAGA hat. Took her around in the neck. Biden tells us that Sicknick died as a result of the demonstrators on January 6th. This didn't happen. He died a day and a half later. Heart-related conditions, if memory serves. Again, getting back to, yeah. They brought up another police officer, another Capitol police officer that died. And the quote from Biden was, died as a result of the rhetoric of these insurrectionists. Well, as it turns out, that guy was actually killed months afterwards by a Nation of Islam Black Power activist who ran over the guy with a car, the front steps of the fucking Capitol. They lie. They gaslight. And that's okay. We can expect that. But this is what it looks like, as I was saying. When good people have had enough, and the people who we count on to handle things don't, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like right now as we speak in Brazil. My brother, UFC veteran, MMA fighter of some renown, Brother Carlo Prater, living down there in Brasilia. By all indications, the people support Bolsonaro. But like we keep seeing over and over again, you know, the people support our taqueria shooter. People like you and I, we support the taqueria shooter. Soros DAs support the scumbag. The people in 2020, by and large, showed their support for their candidate, their president, as far as they were concerned. They took a look at things that were malfeasance in their eyes. They have every right to make that analysis and to come to that conclusion. But the state supported the other candidate. And despite the fact that the other candidate never left his basement and couldn't fill a high school gymnasium, it fucking shows his support with the backing of the state apparatus. He got appointed to the highest office. We can have that discussion another time. Spare me. The people support one, the state supports the other. The people support one, the state supports the other. The people support one, The state supports the other. Do you see a pattern developing here? You tracking, Sparky? You feel me? Good people, decent fucking human beings. They have politely tolerated getting fucked over. Do you want to know? Do you want to know why that orange motherfucker? Why that inarticulate tweeting buffoon clown shoe got elected in the first fucking place? Because decent human beings felt like they were being listened to for the first time in fucking generations. And let me tell you about a little double standard that's no longer going to cut it, since you guys are so fond of fucking gaslighting us. A little clue. You don't get to call us a radical fringe minority of extremists out in the margins and not representative of the people when we show up in numbers like this. You don't get to call us a fringe minority of extremists that don't represent the will of the people, that don't represent when they turn out in Brazil in numbers like this. People are tired of being gaslit. If the truth is unknown in any situation, I want you to pay close attention to this. If the truth is unknown and cannot be ascertained, college word, three of those. If the truth is unknown and cannot be reasonably ascertained, then your speculation is just as good as mine. Okay? If you choose to believe the narrative spoon-fed to you by a state, any state, now here in the age of globalism, here in the age of World Economic Forum, here in the age of Soros, here in the age of Klaus Schwab, now it's international, but it's still the state, the establishment. And these people continue to call themselves the resistance. It's hilarious. If you decide to accept that narrative, you have abdicated your responsibility to think beyond that. The difference between a grazer and us tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists is that they come with a preconceived notion that is taken on faith. It is an article of faith for these people. Jordan Peterson and a number of other intellectuals and philosophers have gone on at length about how when Western civilization lost its connection to religion, that spiritually we were left wandering. And what comes in to fill that gap? Because there is something innate to human nature that we need some sort of structure, some sort of moral compass, some sort of moral code. That can be established on an individual level, but it'll always be guided culturally on a collective level. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's predictable. When you take the word of a state, when the state has become, for all intents and purposes, your religion, government is your God, they will tell you anything that they want to tell you, no matter which part contradicts the other part, and you will continue to parrot the same line. Do you see where I'm going with this? The same stuff that we saw during the 1980s, the same stuff that we see to this day with a lot of Jesus junkies. Well, the Bible is the one and only holy word of God. Well, what about this part where it contradicts the other part? Oh, no, boy, you don't get to talk about that. That's evil. You don't get to talk about my God like that. Yeah, but I'm just making observations that, boy, I'll shoot you. That's what I grew up around. Why y'all still live in it? I understand, right? I get it. This is not me bagging on faith, okay? I want to be clear on that, and then we'll clarify it a little more later. But what is the difference between that and, well, the official narrative is that this was the most transparent and secure election in the history of the United States. Well, okay, yeah, but what about this part? Excuse me, I said most transparent, secure election. Yeah, but I noticed that this doesn't quite line up with this. So you go, oh my God, you are an anti-government extremist. It's because an article of faith, man. Same thing with the Fauci ouchie, man. Same thing with the vaccines. Well, the CDC has said that like masks like clearly work, and that if you get vaccinated, you are not going to contract the disease, and you are not going to transmit the disease, and that. Right. Okay. Well, here's a shitload of studies where even you guys have to admit now that cloth masks are fucking useless, that asymptomatic transmission was always a fucking myth, and that the vaccines do nothing to prevent contraction or spread of the actual fucking virus. And now stories are coming out, not stories, but studies are coming out reflecting that you are probably worse off if you took the vaccine from an immunology perspective. So, what do you have to say about that? Excuse me. The government said that everything was fine, and you are a crazy extremist spreading misinformation. Okay, this is the same thing that you would react if you tried to talk a Muslim off the Quran. That is the same fucking thing. You're not asking questions. You are guilty of heresy. Do you understand that? When Tim Robbins came out a couple of weeks ago, did the interview with Russell Brand, saying, hey man, we got really out of control with that whole thing and the tribalism that took place during the pandemic. I feel really guilty about that. And they came uncorked on him. Tim Robbins, married to Susan fucking Sarandon, for fuck's sake. A product of the left, if ever there was. He wasn't just a heretic for going back on their faith. He was an apostate. Do you understand? In radical fundamentalist Islam, the penalty for apostasy exceeds the penalty for heresy. You can be a heretic, but don't you dare renounce the fucking faith. The state and its narrative have taken the place of religion. I would prefer dealing, if I had to have the choice, if I could not exercise my critical thinking skills, and I had to have the choice between people who place their faith in the state and people who place their faith in the Bible, I'm going to take the Bible 100 times out of 100, because the state doesn't understand things like forgiveness. It's a talking point to them. Goodwill for your fellow man only in as much as it benefits your control. I'll take a Christian over a statist 10 times out of 10. Even if they look at this Thor's hammer and say, bro, you're going to hell for that. Okay. Okay, cool. In the meantime, can we have a burger? A few scripture verses I wanted to go over with you, man. Powerful stuff. Ezekiel, wheels within wheels in a spiral array. The book of Revelation. Job. God, man, what balls. It's a powerful literature there, bro. You understand? What do I have to talk to a statist about? They haven't given it any thought. The glow box told them what to think. They took it. They ran with it. They continue to run with it. Tragically, another example. Again, it's not that you come to a different answer. If your faith is tested, if your holy book, if your holy writ, if your scripture is tested, and it is not found wanting, it is held up It comes through the fire, stands the test of time. Pick your fucking cliche. That is beneficial for everyone involved. It's beneficial to you because it furthers your assurance that you are on the right path, and it is beneficial to the other person because they know they've legitimately called it into question and it is found to stand as truth. You understand that? If the state and the state's narrative is religion, particularly getting back to this little issue, someone who is legitimately strong in their faith. You guys have heard me talk about before the difference between evangelical and dogmatic. Guy goes to the penitentiary. He sees some really, really rough shit. And he comes out of the penitentiary. He finds Jesus in the pen. Finds Jesus behind bars while he's locked down. He finds Jesus. And he comes out from behind those prison bars and he turns his fucking life around. He's going to be evangelical. Evangelical. He's going to say, man, look, I'm going to tell you something. I was on the wrong path. My life's all fucked up. I found Jesus. It helped me out. I want to share this with you, man. Please, can I pray with you? Can I pray with you? A little personal, sorry, moment of conviction here. I was in Vegas on a trip, and a Lyft driver I am not on that path, but I was raised in the church and I was steeped in the scriptures that I mentioned over the course of that Lyft ride, that my wife was suffering from cancer. And when we got to our destination and this Lyft driver dropped me off, he said, hey man, give me your hand. Can I pray with you? You think I turned him down? You think I turned him down? You think I whipped out that Thor's hammer and went, man, the stuff that you did to my people in Northern Europe in the fucking 1600s, man, no, you go fuck yourself that prayer. Now, you think I turned him down? I took his hand and we fucking prayed together. And I've done the same thing, praying to the old gods for people who I know are followers of Christ. And they never turned me down either. That is where you know that your strength on which you base your spiritual belief, that's when you know that you have found something fucking real. You don't fear questions. A devout Christian doesn't fear anyone calling fucking scripture into question or pointing out fucking contradictions. But when the state is your religion, the mere question is an act of heresy. And you know the punishment that the Catholics had for heretics during the Inquisition. You know the punishment that Puritans had for the witches in Salem. You know what they still do to homosexuals in fucking Muslim countries. Please don't fucking tell me that all religions are equally violent. When did the Salem witch trials happen? Right. When did the Inquisition happen? Right. When was the last time a person in an industrialized Western nation was killed by the state for apostasy or heresy? Right. When was the last time it happened in a Muslim country? Probably within the hour. Please don't. Different ballgame once again. Little trip down tangent drive there, buddy. The fear of the question. That was the salient point. The fear of the question. People will take it as an article of faith, and they have their own doubts about the faith. They don't like having it called into question. The Jesus junkies that I used to rage against back in the 80s, my teenage, my young adult years, telling me that my music was the devil and who and how I wanted to fuck was going to send me to hell and all these other fucking things, and I quote their own fucking scriptures to them. They didn't dig that shit because their own belief is fucking weak. It is the same thing with grazers in the fucking state. Damar Hamlin, like I said, man, all indications, good fucking guy. He did take a hit. He did take a hit. Commotio cordis. Yeah, he took a hit. The believer in the state narrative instantly rules out every other possibility but the one that the glow box gave him. Commotion cordis, that's what the doctor said. Well, that's it. No inconsistencies about that. The heretic points out that commotio cordis happens on average 24 times a year throughout all the United States. The heretic points out that commotio cordis average age of victim, average mean age of the victim is 15. The heretic thinks that these are perfectly reasonable questions to ask if there may be some connection to the vaccine. The person for whom the state is their faith not only refuses to entertain the question, but calls you a horrible person for asking it. God bless Victoria Lee. Amazing talent. Prodigy, as I said in the intro, by any measure. For all I know, because they have not announced the cause of death yet, which is why I'm not jumping in going, yeah, you see this girl, dude? You see this girl? Yeah, man, she's totally a victim of the vaccine, man. She had fucking blood clots, dude. That's what fucking killed her. But, them, they're not going to fucking tell you, man. They're not going to tell you, man. They're hiding it, bro. They're hiding it. It's all a conspiracy. And then I find out 2 days from now that a fucking brick fell on her head. How stupid am I going to look? So I got 3 words. You asked me about it. I don't know. That's my statement. That's my one statement. I don't know. I got one statement. Got a hell of a lot of questions, though. Seems an obvious question. Was she vaxxed? Dude, it's inappropriate to ask a question like that, really? Because 2 years ago, you wanted to know if I was vaxxed before you let me into a fucking shopping mall. 2 years ago, you wanted to know if I was vaxxed and wanted to make me prove it if I wanted to go fucking lift in a gym. But somebody dies, otherwise young and healthy, 18 years old, cardiac related, and me asking, that's an inappropriate question? Professional football player, somebody like Damar Hamlin dying. He's not dead, thankfully. But literally thousands of people. Death by all causes. All causes death is up exponentially. Exponentially. It's another college word. I got like 3 of those. And that's across the board. There's plenty of stuff out there. Am I the authority? No. Am I a virologist? No. Am I a statistician? No. What do you think, Bart? Well, I'll tell you what I think. And what is the answer, Bart? I don't know. You understand how this works. You understand levels. You understand nuance. What's going on here, Bart? Well, I'll tell you what I think. This is what I think. This is what it's based on. The difference is people that take it as an article of faith, they will tell you immediately, this is what it is. Okay, what about this? What about that? Shut up, bad person for asking question. Extremist. No, dude. As I said last week, there is no truth on this earth that I would wish unknown to all mankind. Thomas Jefferson. I will remember you said that. Sally Hemings. Sorry, but there it is, man. God love her, man. Victoria Lee. Tragic. There is nothing wrong with asking the question. They haven't announced her cause of death. Maybe she had a long-term cancer thing going on. That's not unheard of in somebody her age. Colton England, the white assassin, fighter from Houston. Fuck, man. He wasn't much older than that when he fucking fought and beat leukemia, okay? There could be a perfectly non-side effect related thing behind her death. But I am not a bad person for asking the fucking question. Don't do it, man. Don't get caught up in that. Questions are not only important, they are fucking essential. And if your belief, no matter what your religion is, I'm talking about the Jesus freaks, I'm talking about the radical ragheads, I'm talking about the statist grazers. If your faith is so weak that you have a knee jerk, violent, reflexive response to having any questions put to it, you don't have a right to that faith. Do you understand me? Somebody speaks to me about Asatru and says, you know, thunder is a scientific phenomenon. It's not actually caused by the Sleipnir's hoofbeats as he thunders across the sky. Yeah, I know. The strength is in the metaphor. Yeah, well, you know, like the God thing and like lighting up the sky. I mean, like, you know, it's like not real, right? Yeah, I do. Faith is in the works. The strength is in the metaphor. Shall we go over it again? I don't have a reflexive knee-jerk response about it because ultimately the 3F rule. You're not feeding, fucking, or financing me. Your opinion doesn't matter. What I'm not gonna do is have somebody walk up making jokes at the expense of the old gods and immediately feel a need to put a 5-pound sledge in their fucking face. If you have real strength in your faith and your spiritual path, you don't ever fear it being questioned. And you will do your best to have reasonable fucking answers. But when you are ready to incarcerate or marginalize or even kill people for asking fucking questions, when you are ready to paint someone as evil for asking perfectly reasonable fucking questions, faith is weak and you have no right to it. You are, by definition, a grazer. You who belittle others raised in the church. What fucking idiot still needs faith in this day and age? Have placed your entire faith in the state. Is that growth? Is that reflective of who you are, who you want to be? You who ridicule people who are raised in the church, steeped in the scriptures. Yeah, well, you know that like a holy book was like written by men, right? And you know, like men are like fallible, and yet you place your entire faith in the state. Are you tracking here, Sparky? Enter into Google all cause deaths up substantially. Your first results will be from, first one will be from JAMA, second one will be from the CDC, third will be from nature.com, and the fourth will be for ourworldindata.org. What you will find, and again, I'm not going to bother you with this because one of the earliest things that we did, early on, Ryan was giving me shit quite properly, calling it the COVID cast because that's all we fucking talked about. We're past it now. It just dovetails with having faith in the state. Asking a very basic question like, why are these numbers so high? Why is all-cause mortality up across the board since this specific time frame? It looks as if that might have a relation to something. Now, if you want to sit me down and just go, well, no, because here's why, and sit it down, and we have the discussion, and I find out that my way of thinking was an error, I will happily concede. But you don't get to sit there and call me an idiot and a demon for asking what seems to be a perfectly reasonable question. There is a phenomenon that I like to call documentary enlightenment. Okay? And I am bringing this up to call out everyone, including my own fucking side. Let me restate that. Including my own fucking side, including people who believe as I do about certain issues. What documentary enlightenment is I saw something on whatever. And let me say from the outset, I'm a documentary junkie. I fucking love documentary films. As a genre, that is my favorite film genre ever. Right? Errol Morris being my favorite fucking director, no matter how much I may vehemently disagree with the guy on this side or the other thing. I love a good documentary film. Love them. Here's an important distinction, boys and girls. Understand that everyone has an agenda and everyone is trying to tell you and present their story, myself included. I do my best to be objective across the board. I do my best to take into account nuance and subtlety and all those other important factors. But at the end of the day, when I'm giving you my sermon, I'm giving you my fucking story. This is my story. This is the view from Planet Bart. And if I'm in your shoes, I walk up to that balcony and I stand next to that crazy, bald, toothless motherfucker and I look around and I go, wow, man, okay, cool. This is the view from Planet Bart. And then I walk that crazy, bald, toothless motherfucker, fat, crippled son of a bitch. I walk him over to my planet. I let him take the voice. And we come here and say, this is how I see the world. This is the common ground, how you see the world. And we come to sort of agreement in the middle somewhere. Okay? Now, maybe your world is so terminally fucked up, unexplainable, your case is demonstrably false, and I have nothing in common with a world so poorly fucking put together. That being the case, there's no need for us to associate, is there? I'm at least going to give you a fair fucking shake. The problem is this. When you hear me telling my story, when I'm giving you the view from Planet Bart, that is coming from 53 years of life experience. That is coming from a guy who has been the highest highs and the lowest lows. That is 53 years of having been a competitive fighter, a competitive lifter, a junkie, a homeless scumbag fucking criminal, an abuser, an abuse victim, a keen observer of human nature, an astute and devout student and observer of history, a certified strength coach, a kettlebell specialist, self-defense and spear system advocate worldwide, Coach Blower. And Chief, I saw you too, by the way. Chief, I saw you out there, so I know you feel me. I've been a lot of things in 53 years. So when you look at the view from Planet Bart, you're getting a fairly well-rounded view. Now, you might not like the view. You might not even like the weather there. The topography may rub you the wrong fucking way. But this is the view, and this is where it's coming from. Where it didn't come from is I saw a documentary, and therefore, that's what we're talking about with articles of faith. I saw it on MSNBC, therefore it is the truth, and I take this on faith. I heard it come from the mouth of Joe Biden, and therefore I take it on faith. Merrick Garland's Justice Department is investigating such and such, therefore I take it on faith that this must be bad. Karine Jean-Pierre says the border is secure, and I take it on faith, therefore, that millions aren't walking across every year. Do you understand? The worst kind of people are what I call the documentary enlightened. These are people who haven't done their own research about anything. This is the strength of documentary films. If I'm making a documentary, I'm reaching into your head. I'm presenting the view from Planet Bart, and I'm tugging at your heartstrings to pull you over into seeing things the way that I do. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, man, I, it would just break my heart if you saw the world exactly the same way I did. That would just break my heart. I'm not going to lie to you and say that. I would love it if everybody had the common goddamn sense to realize that I've been right all along. Self-deprecating laughter. Look, I mean, I have been wrong before, and all three times I felt absolutely horrible about it, and I did my best to make amends. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I would not love the entire world to see things the way that I do. I also accept the reality that's never going to happen. I'm also not so callous that I don't realize that if everybody saw things the way that I did, it'd be a rough fucking world. The documentary enlightened don't see it that way. They are exactly the same sort of grazer that takes everything as an article of faith. I'll give you an example. This 2018 little documentary called Dominion. Anybody get a chance to see that? I got in a thread throwdown on a friend's thread over this. It was a joke. So somebody asked, a perfectly innocuous question. If vegans hate the thought of eating meat so much, why is it that all the vegan meat substitutes do their best to approximate meat? Funny observation, and I thought a perfectly reasonable question. A guy got on who had seen Dominion. I don't know, I think this kid's in his fucking 20s, and literally fucking went on this evangelical tear. I never did finish the difference between evangelical. If you're evangelical about it, you go to prison, you find Jesus, you come out, you want to be evangelical about it. I want to share this with you, and that's only proper. The difference between evangelical and dogmatic is him coming out of penitentiary and going, hey man, I found Jesus, and he's the only way, and if you don't follow, you're wrong. That's the difference. To be evangelical is right and healthy. To be dogmatic is not only detrimental and counterproductive, it's just shit. You demean yourself and you demean everyone around you. Anyway, this maggot on the thread, he had seen Dominion. I also saw that film right when it fucking came out. Again, because I watch a shit ton of documentaries, especially ones that I disagree with. Yeah, well, if you'd only seen what it looks like on a fucking factory farm, bro, you don't understand this. You need to educate yourself, man. You need to do some research. I had to point out to the kid that I spent 26 years in Texas and that I've walked actual killing floors in fucking Madisonville and Fort Worth, all the way out to fucking Odessa. But this guy's seen a documentary, so goddamn it, he's enlightened. He made the assumption that I had not seen it, because if only I had seen this documentary, it of necessity would be a fact that I would agree with him. And if not, I was stupid. I just wasn't. He's got what Tyler Durden referred to. You remember the test where he fucking shit got it? It was like, no, I get it. He's like, no, what you were experiencing is premature enlightenment. What you were experiencing is documentary enlightenment. He had seen Dominion, and therefore that was his article of faith. That was his gospel. It's like weak people that jump into church just out of desperation. I'm not picking on just the Christians here. Any faith that you jump into just out of desperation, again, if you fear it being questioned, you jump into it out of desperation, you're weak, man. And that's not even a reflection on the faith itself. That's a reflection of you, man. In any case, Dominion, right? Do we remember this one? What the Health? You remember when that was like the big hit on Netflix, and suddenly everybody's thread became a font of vegan wisdom for the next fucking 8 weeks, until somebody came out and fucking debunked every goddamn thing in it, basically shredded it. Look, man, there was plenty of good information in What the Health. There was good information for people who wanted to make some educated decisions about their fucking diets. But again, there was some good information in Dominion about the harms of fucking factory farming. But you took the whole thing as an article of faith, and, people got evangelical about What the Health. They got evangelical about being vegans, and then, as usually happens, in about 4 weeks, they're enthusiasm for it wore off because goddamn, who the fuck could live like a vegan? No honey because bee spit is fucking insect exploitation. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Anyway, they got evangelical about this one for about 4 to 6 weeks, and that kind of faded away. All my guys who were out there in the fucking oil field. Oh, in fact, Ryan, if you're actually still out there with me and you're awake, remember this one? Oh yeah, it's amazing what you can do to convince people when you take a water fountain, you run some propane through it, like gas on fucking fire. People got evangelical about that one too. But because the people that got evangelical about this one are on the left, they quickly made the jump from evangelical to dogmatic. Should we take a look at a lot of things involving fracking? Absolutely, we should take a look at a lot of things fucking involving fracking. Yeah, we need to ban it outright, man, because like anybody who's fucking living in a place where they're doing fracking, they're gonna have like flammable gas coming through the pipes in their fucking houses. Bro, slow your roll, man. And they'll present this because that is now their gospel. Do you understand? Beats a hell out of critical thinking for people who don't have the time. And I know we remember this one, don't we? Al Gore. And I'm going to tell you something, man. You guys know how long I have been on that end of the world bandwagon. Praying for it, generally, as opposed to wanting to avoid it. But I thought, wow, man, yeah. I thought he presented a tremendous case. Even then, I had issues with what it said and what it didn't. I had issues with things that, even within a couple of years, would be proven false. But you know, there are still people who quote from this film because they experienced documentary enlightenment. It's the same way that the establishment controls the fucking narrative on everything else. Tell people the same things over and over and over again. Global warming, global cooling, coming ice age, hole in the ozone, acid rain. It's all going to kill us. We have 12 years. We have 12 years until we have to revise the... Speaking of articles of faith, man. Generally, a religion or a cult, they get to miss that end of the world prophecy once before people fucking disregard them. The world will end on April the 7th, 1491. No, they missed it. That's why you've never heard of that. The world will end on July the 9th, 1967. And it came and went. Some of those guys may still be around, but nobody fucking pays attention because they missed it. One time, they fucking missed it. These motherfuckers can miss every fucking prediction they've made for the last 27 years. And again, because of the power of documentary enlightenment, because of the power of narrative control, you are not only expected, you are damn near compelled to lockstep. But I'm going to tell you something as well, people, when I tell you, because I have to be intellectually honest and ideologically consistent about it. Anybody see this? I did. It's a fantastic documentary. What did it tell me? It told me that there was irrefutable evidence of malfeasance in the 2020 election. That ballot stuffing was problematic. That ballot harvesting was problematic and was getting abused. Proved that to me, irrefutably. I had suspected as much. Here's what it didn't prove. That the entire election was stolen. Yeah, but Bart, hold up. Lonzo, training day. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. You can prove malfeasance. He made an absolute case for malfeasance. in that one location. And again, provoked asking the right questions. Well, if this happened here, then maybe we should take a look at it there. If it happened that way here, then maybe Kerry Lake can make a decent case for what's going on in Maricopa County, Arizona. It's an answer that provokes more questions. What it isn't is a dogmatic absolute proof that 100% of those precincts were stolen and 100% of the 81 million votes that were generated, it proves only what it set out to prove, was that there was malfeasance, and it does that admirably. It does not become tantamount to the election was stolen and here's the goddamn smoking gun. No, it doesn't do that. And we do ourselves a disservice by saying that it does that, because it's easily shot down when they have the power, the entire mainstream narrative machine behind them. Do you understand? In the same way that guys who get behind this and guys who get behind this say that it says things that it doesn't actually say, it's easy to fucking dismiss them. You do the same disservice to your side when you take this documentary and say that it says things that it absolutely does not say. I'll give you another example. There are plenty of things that this documentary does show. There are plenty of cases that it does present. Undeniably, around the world, all-cause mortality is up, and nobody can seem to figure out why. All around the world, otherwise young, healthy people are developing cardiac symptoms, and this in the wake of the CDC and Pfizer even having to admit that their vaccine does predispose you to myocarditis and pericarditis. I am not an immunologist, I am not a fucking doctor, but this is by their own fucking admission. Those blood clots that they're pulling out of people, that shit's some spooky looking shit. And you will never convince me that 100% of those can be explained away. However, because my wife is a medical professional and we bicker constantly about the nature of the nuance, there are a number of cases where blood clots like that can be associated and explained away through reasonable, ordinary things. They are rare, but they exist. So what does died suddenly say? Died suddenly definitely makes the case that all-cause mortality is up. Definitely makes the case that there's a huge upsurge in cardiac symptoms among otherwise healthy, young, and vaccinated adults. That is what it says. Does it prove that 100% of these illnesses, 100% of these deaths are necessarily related to the vaccine? No, it does not. Yeah, but Bart, goddammit, you were just... No. I'm abundantly clear in what I'm saying. I'm also abundantly clear in what I'm not saying. This is not me trying to have one foot in both fucking camps. You know how I feel about it. If you ask me what I think about it, you know what I think about it. I've been abundantly clear on that. I think that Pfizer and the big state and big pharma and government and control freaks within the government, that the deep state and the media, which enabled it, all played a factor in this. And there are some very sinister fucking overtones. So I think this is a global fucking plot. Absolutely, I feel that way. Lonzo, standing behind me, says it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And what I urge you to do is not fall into the same trap as these idiots who fucking parrot this as like why you should feel terrible for fucking eating meat while still being carnivores. They want to parrot this as why you should feel terrible for not being a vegan for the 6 weeks it takes them to get over being a vegan. that will continue to say that this is why we have to shut down entire fucking economies and strangle our own fucking development while giving China free access to put up new coal plants, and we'll use this as an excuse for any goddamn thing they need to as a control mechanism. Don't fall into the same trap. Know what it is saying and know what it is not saying. Understand that is the difference between truly being a critical thinker and taking shit as an article of faith. Here's a real easy test. Ask a supporter of a specific president to name one thing that is just terrible about what this president did. Name one utter, inexcusable failing. You ask me, what's something bad? What's something bad about Donald Trump? He rushed the vaccines, and that had ramifications that he couldn't have foreseen. But if you need something terrible, he bombed Syria after a false flag chemical weapons attack. It was a terrible fucking move. He gave too much power to fucking Anthony Fauci, and that got away from him. I can name 5 things right off the top of my head that are fucking terrible. Go to your average Biden voter, and in spite of the mountain of shit that we can see every day, even through mainstream media sources, say, hey man, what is something that Biden just absolutely fucked up? Just absolutely fucked up. If they can name 3 things, it's a coin toss. They might actually be a critical thinker. If you see them do this, or if they tell you something and go, but, yeah, man, Biden really fucked up that Afghanistan withdrawal, but, Trump is the guy that put that whole deal together, and really, this is kind of, you're dealing with a grazer. You ask somebody about this or that documentary, what is something that you feel like they might have exaggerated or might have gotten wrong? They won't be able to tell you because they're documentary enlightened. That is their article of faith. Do you understand? You tracking? You understand how this works? Just like what happened to Damar. Just like what possibly happened to Victoria. Asking the question and not being afraid of the question. You ask me a question, what is something that 2,000 Mules got wrong? 2,000 Mules perpetrates to be 100% smoking gun that the entire election was stolen. They do not make the case for that. They definitely make the case for malfeasance, but they do not, and again, that's less the result of the filmmaker than the fan base. Do you understand me? But I'm not afraid to have those questions asked. Died suddenly. They say, what do you think something that they got fucking wrong? Okay, the blood clots. The blood clots that they're finding, yes, it's inordinate, the number that it's up, but it tries to state it as if it were an ironclad case that every one of these fucking fibrous blood clots, all of them without exception, are directly related to the vaccine. That is not true. And by presenting it in that, it makes it easy to fucking shoot down. Do you understand? The only way to find your faith, whether your beliefs are an article of pure faith or whether they stand, is to let the questions be asked, is to ask the questions, is to ask the questions of yourself, because otherwise it's just on faith. And I'm not saying that simply faith is necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes simply faith might be the only thing that gets you through. But if that faith makes you evangelical, more power to you. One of the things that I'm trying to do with this new direction that I'm taking with the sermons, make it more evangelical. These are things that I'm going through right now that are helping me and making my life a better place. And I want to share this with you because I want to see every one of y'all find the strength within your own soul to do better in your life than where you are right now. That's what it is to be evangelical. To be dogmatic is my way or the highway, motherfucker. I lift this way, and if you lift any other way but me, you're fucking stupid. I use these supplements, and if you do any other thing, you're fucking stupid. There are some things I'm dogmatic about, but those aren't articles of faith. That individual freedom and the sovereignty of the individual triumphs over all. That is not an article of faith, but you can bet your ass I'm going to be dogmatic about it. Free speech is the foundational principle of all of Western civilization, all the good things that have come as a result of it. And I will not bend on that. Not one jot or tittle or shred or iota will I bend on that. And I'm dogmatic about that. But that's not an article of faith. That's based on my observations, motherfuckers. That a free people can only remain free if they have the strength to resist those that would oppress them. That's something that I'm dogmatic about. But that's not an article of faith. That's history, motherfucker. And you better get your head around a whole lot of that, because things are shifting very fucking quickly. Some more things that I want to go over with you guys. Speaking of some of those things that I just went into. How you guys doing on your food stocks right now? How you guys doing on it right now? Shout it out, man. How you doing? Be honest with me. Be honest with me, because you know the clock is ticking right now. You understand this. Beans, bullets, band-aids. You guys follow James Wesley Rawls? I consider myself a Rawlsian survivalist. He's the heir apparent to Mel Tappan. You better have your beans, your bullets, your band-aids fucking squared away. You need to be looking at survivalblog.com. You need to be reading it every fucking day. Not as a matter of faith. There's plenty of stuff that I disagree with Rawls on. But there's a lot to be had there. I don't think it'd be a bad idea for you to read the Bible every day. There's plenty that I fucking disagree with, but that is some powerful, archetypal, deep-reaching wisdom. There's a reason that certain things resonate throughout the ages, because it speaks to a commonality in all of fucking human existence. Greek and Roman mythology, Shakespeare, the Bible. Oh. Why does it resonate? Because it tells things that are universal. It tells things that are tangible to us. Carl Jung, man. Read what Carl Jung had to write about all of these things. They touch us for a reason. They speak to us. Anyway, another another little side trip down Tangent Drive. Oh, look at that. My goodness. My daughter Alex and Seed Small Livestock. Oh, God, my lovely daughter Alex. I'm so glad you stopped in, hon. I don't know if you've been here for the whole thing, but we gave a little shout out to Ruth Hannah earlier, and I'm very, very proud of you. Everybody right now, look over at Alex. Look out through the screen. Alex, we love you. Everybody. Anyway, back on topic. Start squaring your food stores away. There are people who have hit me up, and this is a question that I've been asked a number of times over this week and over the course of the past several weeks, and I want to go ahead and get on top of it, because some people, man, you guys are dragging ass. We're heading into extra innings here. We're heading into the fourth quarter. Pick your fucking sports analogy, whatever. And some of you haven't even begun to fucking prepare yet. And then, to top it all off, this happened. This happened last week, over the course of the last 2 weeks. That's 5 dozen eggs at Walmart, man. One of the things when I first started this sermon, you heard me talk about it with regard to lifting and with regard to, how do I eat on a budget and everything. Oatmeal is cheap. Rice is cheap. Eggs are cheap. Guess what? Eggs aren't cheap anymore. Now, again, if we want to get into grand, overarching conspiracy theories, where a guy like this might be, sitting behind the helm of this particular program, to raise egg prices and make it impossible for poor people to afford quality protein. Well, okay, cool. You can make that case. Here's the thing, guys. Eggs are no longer cheap. Chicken, oddly, is. And the reason why eggs are so fucking expensive, given to us, is okay. Here's the thing on Article of Faith, tying this all in together. They're telling us that the reason that eggs are so expensive is not supply chain issues. It's not Biden in the White House. It's not any of these things. They're telling us it's about bird flu. And yet, even though all these chickens are having to be killed off because of bird flu, the price of chicken has largely remained the same. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily conspiratorial about that, but in my head, that doesn't really add up. If somebody can come up with a reasonable explanation for that, I'm all ears. And I will be happy to come back on here next week and say, okay, this is why eggs are through the fucking roof and chicken remains cheap. I'd be happy to have that explained to me. Right now, it's not adding up. In any case, you need to have at least something dug in for 2 weeks. On Planet Bart, the minimum is 3 months. Do you understand me? You tracking? Stay with me on this. 3 months. I know you guys are late to the fucking ball game, but there was a post, and if Denise were here, she would know exactly what month I posted it and immediately be able to track it down. G-Dub probably remembers, honestly. And G-Dub, if you remember the one that I'm talking about. For all you guys that are dragging in at the last minute, here's how you fucking spend one paycheck and get your food store squared away, so that's one less thing you have to worry about. I had a post on that probably summertime last year. I'll see if I can drag it up. I said I was going to do it one time. I wasn't going to do it again. But I'm doing it for some of you latecomers because now it's even later in the game, and some of you dumb motherfuckers still haven't gotten anything together. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to throw this stuff out. Do you need to spend money on freeze-dried or, what's the other dry good? Any of the dehydrated stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool to have that. Most of you guys have a Walmart in your town. That's about the only fucking resource you have. A lot of you guys are going to be fucking limited. Look, guys, I just right off the bat, I want you to get very comfortable. I want you to get very, very comfortable with this. Okay? Whole grain, quick cooking oats. Why? Well, number one, they're cheap. The prices have not spiked yet, and we have, even at the bunker, we have a couple of bulk bags, which, Aaron, we still need to get into the Mylar. We have a couple of bulk bags down there. $25 for like what, a 30-pound bag, I think it is. It's very, very cheap, and it can be packed away in Mylar bags with O2 absorbers. I will give you the advice if you want it, please. But for the record, get used to this because you can buy it in bulk and you can buy it cheap. And here's the beauty of quick cooking oats. You don't have to cook them at all. There's a little thing that I like to call summer oatmeal, where you put your oats in a container with either water or milk, right? And just let it soak, man. Let it soak overnight. No matter what. I mean, whether it's 2 cups or fucking, a quart, whatever. Put it in a container. Let it soak overnight. And you've got edible food. Is it necessarily that tasty? Not necessarily. Oats are kind of an acquired taste unless you're a fucking gym rat. But here's the thing. Easy to prepare. No fucking heat required to prepare it. And cheap. You can buy this in bulk. Get on it with your fucking oats. Do this. And the stuff that I'm pulling right now, I should point out, you guys see behind me, I'm on the road right now. I'm in Twin Falls, Idaho. I'm a 9-hour drive from the bunker, right? I'm not close to my food stores. I'm not close to my fucking, on any of these things. But even while I'm out on the road, there's a certain level of preparedness. I'm not going to fucking take the camera back here and show you all the stuff that I have stacked up. But there is a certain food storage protocol, even when I'm on the road, because I'm not going to get caught with my fucking pants down. Oats, bitches, get on it. Since you can't afford the freeze dried and eggs are no longer cheap, and you want to have protein around, you want to have protein that's going to keep, okay? Canned chicken has gone through the fucking roof. That 4 pack that you have seen me illustrate before that used to be $7 at Walmart is now over $10. Okay, it's good to have it around if you can. But here's a little something that I found for you guys that want something that you can put away in the pantry, but you can't afford the big expensive freeze dried stuff. This is currently at Walmart. Take a good look. Thank you. Take a good look. Keystone pork. This can, 28 ounces, 1 pound, 12 ounces. This can was $9. Okay. Now, $9 seems like a lot to pay for just a can of pork, but here's the beauty of it. There's only two ingredients in here, pork and sea salt. Okay. What part of the pig? I don't know, nor do I care. That kind of concern is for guys that, watch this. Um, but what I will tell you is this can is $9 at Walmart. So do the math, 9, 12. That's $100. It's $108 for a case of 12, right? Couple $100. You put away 2 cases of this, and the beauty of it is, take a look at this expiration date. Best by 6/10/2027, boys and girls. That's right. You guys got another 4 years that this can sit. And what you were paying for, again, you may have to eat it now, but what you're really paying for is fucking peace of mind. Because this is $9. Guess what it could jump to with hyperinflation? Stuff that you need to be putting away in bulk. God damn it. Two more items that I had intended to grab. Okay, guys, you know these packets that I throw in for fucking lunch all the time? They have gone through the roof. These are over $2 a piece now. These, the Walmart Great Value brand, same amount, same weight, same product, essentially, still under $1. Okay, so if you need some stuff that you can just throw in a fucking pack or whatever, these are still cheap. Stock up on them while you can. Another great thing about oats, you know what? Let me cover this first. Guys, we are not talking nutrition. You are this late in the fucking game right now. Eating healthy, if you wanted to eat healthy, motherfucker, that was something you should have thought of fucking couple of years ago. Now, you're just fucking scrambling to cover your own ass. And I got no sympathy for you, all right? But one thing, it is not nutrition, but it will keep you from fucking starving to death, guys. And again, local Wally World, Ramen Express. Now, this is allegedly low sodium, whatever. How much of that you believe, I don't know. But this 12 pack, and they are actually pretty fucking tasty. This 12 pack was about $3.40. And here's what I noticed as well. This was the last one on the fucking shelf. I noticed at Winco, the entire ramen section was damn near bought out except for those single serving cups. I take this as a harbinger of bad things to come, because what that says to me is people are so fucking broke that this has become a staple of their diet again, and the supply chain is so fucked up that they can't get it there fast enough. You feel me? You tracking? Okay, good. Um, these microwave, no, I'm sorry. These aren't microwave packets. These are, you can eat them right out of the bag. But again, the Walmart Great Value brand, the sweet and spicy, and granted, this is Thai chili, but they have a sweet and spicy. Starkist has a sweet and spicy too. I have compared them side by side. Um, I feel like the Great Value brand is actually better than the Starkist in this particular flavor, man. It's not bad. And again, if you got to eat lean, this is good lean protein for you guys who are out there lifting. I jumped back into the gym past couple of weeks, been trying to put on some size, whatever. But it's there. It's cheap, and it's worth packing into. Rice. First of all, you need to be buying bulk bags, okay? And we've been over this ad nauseum. I'm not gonna fucking bore you with it again. But for you guys that need something that's just like quick and dirty, let me just throw it in the pack. I need it for lunch. The microwave 90-second rice packets, right? The heat and eat rice. What are some of the guys, Uncle Ben's and some of the other ones? They have their brand, Walmart Great Value brand. Again, I've tried it side by side. Jasmine rice is fucking jasmine rice, dude. If you want to pay $2 plus a pack for the Uncle Ben's by all means, knock yourself out, and tell yourself how much better you are that you aren't living on a Walmart model like us, uh, great unwashed, smelly Walmart shoppers, or whatever it was that Peter Strzok had to say about us. Oh, look, my Wi-Fi signal appears to be wandering a bit. That's kind of strange. Hopefully that'll bounce back. Let me know over here if like the sound's clipping or if I'm freezing up or anything like this. Anyway, hopefully you guys are communicating. But get it together, guys. And here's something else. Take a look at this. This is the cheap Walmart protein powder. The good thing about the oats, something that you can do with the oats, is when you are mixing it with the water or the milk, if you stir in a couple of scoops of protein powder with the water or the milk and then dump your oats into that and let it soak, not only are you boosting the protein input, okay, but again, there's no preparation involved and it's a lot tastier when you're throwing in some protein powder than if you're eating just straight oats. Now, here's a kicker about that. Where do I find cheap protein powder? Um, Walmart is cheap. Here is a place, if, again, since we're talking about you're blowing one entire paycheck on this, there's a recommendation I'm going to give you, and I've recommended it before. Supplementhunt.com. Spelled exactly like it sounds. There's no hyphens, there's no dashes. Supplementhunt.com. I literally just placed a $100 order with those guys today, and what I got for my $100, let me scroll down to where it is. What I got for my $100 with supplementhunt.com today, and I'll scroll exactly where I put it. I got, here we go. There we go. I got 10 pounds. Yes, literally 10 pounds of protein powder. There is another one where you can get 8 pounds of the same manufacturer's protein powder. This is good, basic, ordinary whey protein. Why are they selling it so cheap? Because generally it's in a flavor that people weren't really digging, right? Um, no, I'm sorry. I got 16 pounds. I'm sorry. I wasn't even looking at that right. I got 16 pounds. 16 pounds of this Victus protein powder. 16 pounds of this stuff for $100. And again, it's getting what the industry considers close to the expiration date, but the stuff that I just picked up is good through October the 31st of 2023 before it's even past its best buy date. You guys know these powders hold up like extremely well, and in the meantime, between time, I'm using it every day anyway because boom, trying to put some size back on. Supplementhunt.com, get the protein powder and get that going. Stir that into your fucking oatmeal. It will help things go a long fucking way. Yes, G Dub. Yes, Asian Food Market. Yes. For the love of God, get acquainted with Asian food markets and all these other things. G Dub, if you can, or anybody out there who can remember that post that I put about guys who waited to the last minute, the prices are actually going to be a little bit higher. It's been a year since I posted it, so it's going to be higher, but it might help you out a little bit. And the last two things that I'm going to go into, I am loath to give gun advice. You guys know what I like, but it never fails. There's some armchair commando, some mom's basement militia motherfucker that every time I try to say anything specifically about weapons, that it just turns into a big goddamn kerfluffle, and everybody has their own opinion. Everybody feels the need to interject. So I'm not going to do that. But for you guys that still haven't bought anything, handgun, you're probably too late. For a decent quality handgun, you were probably too fucking late. I'm going to give you two recommendations for you people who are coming to the game late. I'm going to give two recommendations. One is for a handgun, one is for a shotgun, and this is the last you're going to hear about it. I'm not open for debate or discussion on this because we know you waited till the last fucking minute and you're working within a budget. So I'm going to try to accommodate you to take care of both of those concerns. Shotgun, one word, Mossberg. Mossberg Model 500. For those of you guys who, oh, well, dude, I found one, but it was a Mossberg Maverick. Okay, at this point, fine. Before I would have wanted to dick around about, well, technically a Maverick. We're not going to have that discussion now. If you find a Mossberg Maverick Model 500, fucking buy the motherfucker. Solid, reliable 12 gauge pump action shotgun. Okay? You need at least, and again, you're late in the game right now, so you're going to be paying a premium and you're not going to be able to afford much of it. If you buy that Mossberg, get at least 250 rounds of ammunition. Go to ammoman.com. You will be able to pick up a bulk order, 250 rounds of double-aught buckshot, decent quality stuff like S&B, all right? Be able to pick it up within budget, and since it's over 99 bucks, it's going to be free shipping, okay? So, Mossberg 500, ammoman.com, 250 rounds of buckshot. What? Because we're not talking about, you're not, I'm going to go out in the field, I'm going to live off the fucking land. No, dude, no. You are going to gently discourage predatory miscreant tweakers that are trying to steal your shit. That is what the shotgun is for. Okay, so that's where we're at on that. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. G-Dub, I'm with you on the 1022, but that's somebody else's, man. Somebody else's, because yes, of course it is more versatile, small game, yada yada yada. 22, yes, but this is what I didn't want to get into. We'll deal with it another day. Mossberg Model 500, 250 rounds of ammunition. Those of you guys who are getting a handgun, okay, brand new in the box, barely over 300 bucks, 3.25, okay. Palmetto State Armory. Same guys that are doing the best American-made AK platforms right now, PSA. The patents have run out on the third generation Glocks, so they are doing basically a blueprint. Third generation Glock. It is called the PSA Dagger. Retail price on it, and I don't know what you're going to pay for shipping or if you can get free shipping worked out. Retail price on the PSA Dagger, $329. You are buying what amounts to a Glock 19 for $329 brand new. Are there some things about it? Yes, the trigger guard is a little bit different. You're going to have to modify your holsters, things like that. But if you're just looking for a self-defense or home defense handgun, PSA Dagger, Palmetto State Armory, go to their website, look it up. That's as much gun advice as I'm going to give you. But there are two more things that you need to square away. And again, the clock is ticking and you are running out of fucking time. If you have not started, really, Mike? PSA did? PSA did. Okay, cool. Fucking awesome, Stone. Thank you for that. Right. Because you still have to go to work, you still have to go to shop, you still have to visit grandma, but you can't walk around with an AK. Exactly. So again, once you go down the gun rabbit hole, everything. So I'm keeping it very tightly focused, and those were my recommendations. PSA Dagger, Mossberg 500. Put it in the box, throw it over the shoulder. We move on. You should have started some sort of fitness regimen by now. I don't do the New Year's resolution thing, but you guys know that I have been very conscious of my tobacco consumption. I will say this to you, this week, okay, this week, my entire consumption of tobacco has been under 12 cigarettes for the week, okay. That's still not good, and I'm in the process of putting them down. Actually, for a couple of those days, there were no smokes. Like anybody else, I have the Nick fits. I am trying to adjust my behavior. I do not smoke in the new ride, period, end of statement. No smoking in the new ride. I do not carry my cigarettes with me when I go to work, when I go shopping, when I run errands, things like that. By the end of this month, I want to be tobacco free. By the end of this month, I will be tobacco free. How about we just say it? We will. Okay. Um, I say all that to say this. Even in the shape that I'm in, and we know I'm carrying more weight than I should be right now, recovering from surgery and everything, can't train legs the way I need to be training legs. Um, you need to be doing something, people. You need to be doing something. If you don't want to have any equipment, here's what I'm gonna ask that you do. Okay, beginning of every day or right before bed, 100 and 100, 100 push-ups, 100 body weight squats. I don't, I can't do 100 push. I don't care if it takes 10 sets of 10 to get there. 100 push-ups. No weight equipment required. Okay, none. 100 body weight squats, which will also activate cardio. Okay, this is something you can do with no equipment whatsoever. If you're going to buy one fitness implement, you already know what I'm going to tell you to buy. If you are a male of average strength, it needs to be 35 pounds and it needs to be a kettlebell. But those are technical lifts. Bodyweight lifts require nothing, but you need to be doing something every fucking day. Something, for the love of God, please. Some recommendations that I will give you, if you are familiar, TRX is way too expensive, and they sued WAS, who was their lead competitor. They sued them right out of existence. But suspension trainers are fantastic. And literally, you can rig one up yourself with some nylon cord, with 2 lengths of nylon cord and a couple of plastic gymnastics rings. Okay? Look up suspension trainer. Okay? Not on the porn site. That's a different suspension. Okay? TRX is another one you can look up. Do not spend the money for fucking TRX. Just don't do it. Please, for the love of fuck, don't spend the money on a TRX. But suspension trainers are cheap and they're incredibly versatile. I carry one with me on the road. But a poor man's gym, you will find, God damn it, you will find $50 to find a heavy bag on Craigslist to hang it up in your garage. Or, barring that, a freestanding heavy bag. Do they look cheesy as fuck? Those little plastic things, you put the sand or the water in the base of them and they just stand up like a big throbbing insulated dick in the middle of your living room. Yes, they look fucking ridiculous. It is still better than nothing. You can find them on Craigslist, cheap as fuck all day. Hell, I think they're still under $100 even at Academy if you live down in Texas. Big Five if you live in Washington. Nobody spends money at Dick's because fuck Dick's. They were the first guys to fucking, we're not selling assault weapons anymore. Good, you don't want my money. Fuck you. Don't spend a dime with those cocksuckers. Big Five or Academy. Freestanding heavy bags. You can find them on Craigslist. They're cheap, man. Under 100 retail. Find them on Craigslist for 50. Get it. What do I do with it? I don't know how to punch. Something. One of the things that I used to do before I even got down with the whole spirit thing was the caveman strikes. Palms. Hammer fist. Elbows. Bang, bang. Are you going to be coordinated? No. Are you going to look sloppy as fuck and stupid? Yes. Is there a learning curve? Yes. But get it. Do it. Get that used fucking heavy bag, that freestanding heavy bag, get it and put it to fucking use. Something is better than nothing. Chief A, I'm glad you're here. Med balls and bands are cheap and mobile. Yes, med balls and bands are cheap and mobile. It's a worthwhile observation. And one of our spear brethren, Big John, Jonathan Jones, you see the drills he's doing with those medicine balls, right? And the bands, the strength bands and the medicine balls. Guys, I want you to look that up, man. I want you to go to uncooperative combatives. Go right now. Check that out. Uncooperative Combatives. Jonathan Jones. Um, we did our. We were partnered off that weekend that we both got certed under Coach Tony Blauer in the Spear system. That guy is a god damn it. John hits fucking hard, man. He does. John hits hard. That was a fun little weekend, man, because we were going from the from the cooperative posture to dropping the elbow, and I think he was kind of going light. I think he was kind of going light on me that first one because he hit me and it was like I'm thinking, dude, this big motherfucker can hit me harder than that. And so he dropped the elbow into my chest. I kind of sank back a little bit, and then it was my turn, and I just fucking bang his strike. And I remember his eyes lighting up. He looked, oh, it's gonna be like that, huh? I was like, dude, why do you think I paired off with you, motherfucker? John's a good guy. John's a really good guy. He's a very capable, very his instructor skills. It's all heart, man. It's all heart. He is a true believer. Much like the chief, we believe in what we do. We believe in the spirit system. I urge you to look him up online, Uncooperative Combatives. I urge you to look him up online because what Chief was just saying about medicine balls and bands being cheap and mobile. They are. Bands in particular, cheap and mobile, just resistance bands. You can throw them in a car and just a little bit of resistance training. They don't cost much. But the medicine balls, that's something, again, with just basic strength exercises and just working, say, if you want to crouch over that medicine ball and just work on punching down into a medicine ball or a slam ball and, dropping elbow strikes or punches or open hand or, your hammer fist, your caveman strikes, you can use the medicine ball with that and develop some skills. So, under $100, man, under $100. You can find yourself a freestanding heavy bag of medicine ball and a decent set of resistance bands. You can find a cheap suspension trainer on eBay. Or get yourself a couple links of nylon cord and a couple of plastic gymnastics rings. But you better get on it, man. You really better get on it. And for those of you who are fortunate enough to live in the Texas Hill Country, I want you to follow Chief and I want you to follow Big John, because they do seminars. John in particular, Chief is on the road a lot, teaching hard to kill men how to be harder to kill. John is right there in the Hill Country. You can look him up for one-on-one instruction, but I'm going to tell you something. If you have X amount of dollars to spend and you only have one day to teach yourself a skill set that may save your life in these dark and uncertain days to come, I urge you to take that 100 or 200 or whatever it winds up to be and seek out a spear system instructor, someone certed under Coach Blauer. Okay? Particularly, and I'm saying this on the assumption that a lot of you guys out there have never trained. You've never even so much as thrown punches at heavy backs. You've got no prior martial arts experience, especially for you. One of the strengths of the spear system and why I'm so much a believer and so much of an advocate is I see how easily assimilated it is for people who have never trained. Coach Blauer's entire premise, his life work, is all based around the premise that you know how to fight. The human body knows how to fight. That's the weaponization of the startle flinch response. That's hardwired. Startle flinch is hardwired into our DNA. You take that, you move it forward. Spontaneous protection, enabling accelerated response. Spear. Find an instructor who is certified under Coach Blauer. If you live down in Texas, if you live in the Hill Country, right? You live up headed towards Dallas, find Chief. You live in the Hill Country, find John. Find someone. There is a learning curve with everything. Yeah, but Spear, man, what about BJJ? Okay, fine. Yeah, dude, you know what? I've got experience in BJJ too. You know what I remember about jiu-jitsu? What I remember about jits is I spent about the first 3 months getting caught with sneaky chokes and diving into triangles, diving into fucking triangle chokes, because, there's a learning curve. I give you 4 hours with fucking Spirit, you leave right now, today, with things that can save your life in better than 90% of the encounters that you're going to run into out here in the real world. If a 6-year MMA fighter and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt decides he's going to rape you, okay, Spear ain't going to save you. Let me just be point blank about that. Spear ain't going to fucking save you. The odds of a BJJ black belt and fucking 12-year MMA fighter trying to rape you, pretty low. I mean, unless you're locked down. But that's a whole other argument, isn't it? Get your house in order, people. Spend the money for the necessities. You have spent, the reason why a lot of you are in this position, you guys know who I'm talking to. The reason why a lot of you are in the position you are right now is you spent so much time spending so much money on such stupid, meaningless shit because you thought it either wouldn't get to this point or you had more time. Now you don't. It's crunch time, motherfucker. It's research paper time in college. You waited the last fucking minute. You don't even have your outline done. Take the next paycheck. Sell some stupid fucking grazer thing that you have. Like that third 50-inch widescreen, flat screen, smart TV. Sell one. Find it. Beans, bullets, band-aids. And bleach. That's the fourth B. But how about your fifth B? Body. Beans, bullets, band-aids, bleach, and body. Get your body in order. Ramp it up, man. Supplementation. Your homework assignment, BPC 157. BPC 157. That is your homework assignment for you old guys with a lot of fucking damage. You get into that in a little more later. Remember that FDA we were talking about Articles of Faith? That FDA will give OxyContin to your kids. That FDA will approve methamphetamine for children. Same FDA won't even look at BPC 157. Who do you believe? You want to take that as an article of faith, or you want to do a little research and see where it might be wrong? BPC 157, that is your homework assignment. We can talk about other supplementation another time, but you need to be ramping it up. Get your house in order, get your body in order, get your mind, soul, and spirit in order. And remember, guys, I can't stress this enough, man. I'm not trying to beat you down, what you already know. I want to see you guys fucking prosper. Take a look at the negativity that other people try to project onto you and realize that that toxic shit doesn't just accumulate here. It accumulates here. It accumulates here. People will define themselves very, very easily. Look for the ones who are shitting on people who are trying to make other people's lives better. Easy example, Jordan Peterson. Okay? You don't have to like Jordan. I don't expect you to of necessity, like Dr. Peterson. There's a lot of things that a lot of people find fucking objectionable. But people that want to nitpick and people that want to shit all over Jordan Peterson for this thing and that thing, you know how I can tell people, you know how I can tell somebody's worth talking to or not immediately, is if they say this about Jordan Peterson or even Joe Rogan on a way lower level. He's a dumb person's idea of what a smart person sounds like. I hear somebody say that, I know immediately, without one fucking bit of further conversation, you've never read a goddamn thing he's ever written. You've never listened to one fucking lecture. Again, we're getting back to taking it as an article of faith. The Glowbox, or some radical fucking feminist, told him that Jordan Peterson is a misogynist, racist, homophobe, transphobe, yada, yada, yada. And he's not even that smart. He's a dumb person's idea of what a smart person should sound like. But I know for a fact they haven't read a goddamn thing he's done. When people shit all over that, you look at Jordan's track record. This is the larger point. You look at Jordan's track record, the number of lives that he has measurably improved just by giving them little bits of wisdom. I aspire to that shit. This little pittance of an offering of advice that I try to give y'all to make it. I can never pretend to be on that fucking level. I aspire to be on that level. The number of lives that he has measurably improved, and somebody comes through and they're shitting all over them. Look at him trying to make the world a better place. Fuck that guy. Immediately, man, extricate that shit from your life. I'm just as guilty, man. It's one thing that I've been coming to grips with over the course of the last fucking year, and all the evolutions and all the realizations that I've been fucking coming to. The microdosing has helped immensely because it's opened up those doors of perception. Thank you, Dr. Huxley. Maybe re-examine this whole fucking thing. I am a crass and vulgar creature by nature, but I don't have to let things outside myself fucking affect me like that. Take your negativity somewhere else. There's enough fucking shit that tries to thrust itself on us on a day-to-day basis in the real fucking world that is a lot more fucking consequential. Extricate that negativity in the people who fucking push it. Elon Musk, we used to revere guys like that. Yeah, I got a man crush on Elon, we all know that. But let's take a look at it objectively. What has he done? He's done a fuck of a lot to advance us as a species. Now, you don't have to dig what he's about. You don't have to dig everything that he's done or even everything that he's even fucking said. But if you hate him because his politics are different than yours, then just say that. You guys want to shit all over this guy who's doing nothing but trying to make our fucking species a better fucking species. Make our world a better fucking place. Open it up to where all ideas can fucking be equal. And meanwhile, you can release yourself from the bondage of the fucking electrical grid. He was their darling, man, for as long as his politics didn't differ. Do you understand that? We're not even going to go down the rabbit hole. Fuck them and their politics. He's a good man trying to do good things, and they're shitting on him. He's trying to make the world a better place, and they're shitting on him. Extricate that negativity from your life. Jordan Peterson. Good man doing good things, broadening people's horizons, making their world a better place, and they shit on him. Why? Because he didn't think the way I do. Okay, fine. But again, we're back to articles of faith. Do you understand? I don't agree with Dr. Peterson on everything. There are a couple of places where I vehemently disagree with Dr. Peterson. But he's not afraid to have his shit questioned, and neither am I. I could sit and have a conversation with Dr. Peterson a hell of a lot easier than I could with any of his fucking detractors. Guys like Sam Harris, who recently showed himself another thing. Here's the point. The larger point, where I'm trying to go. You have people who are trying to make shit better. Listen to what they're saying. Careful where you choose to place your faith. The people that shit on these good people who are trying to make the world a better place, they have placed their faith in an all-powerful state. That is their new religion, their new doctrine, their new what? Their new dogma. Why is it better to be evangelical than dogmatic? Because evangelical at least indicates that you feel something in your heart. All these people they choose to hate on, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's, I don't care, Dr. Peterson, whether it's whoever it is, people they choose to hate on, listen to their message. The people who are doing the shitting on these good people, what's your latest hit, brother? What are they evangelical about? Nothing. Because in their soul they have nothing. They have nothing that has moved them down to their soul. Nothing that has moved them to the point where it's like, my God, this has measurably improved my life and I want to share it with you. They have nothing. So they fall back on dogma because it's easy just to make it an article of faith and shit on what the other guy is trying to tell you. Extricate those people from your life. Extricate that entire attitude from your way of fucking living. Wake up every fucking morning taking serious stock of where you need to fucking improve. I don't have enough food in my house. I better fucking fix that. I'm not in good enough shape. I better fix that. I don't really know how to defend myself if something bad happens. I need to fix that. Take serious stock of that every fucking day. But every fucking day when you roll out of bed in the goddamn morning, you look around, you take a deep breath, just a deep breath, and you let it out. What is that? That is life, motherfucker. That is another day that you have been goddamn gifted with, and you better fucking be thankful for that. Whether your path leads you to the old gods and the strength of your works and your aspirations to become like unto them, whether your faith runs to the holy books and the scriptures and the strength that is in the fucking gospels, make no mistake about the strength in those gospels, brother. Oh, I'll get fire and brimstone on your ass with the fucking quickness. No matter where the strength of that spirit is coming from, you wake up every morning, you take a look, no matter how fucked up the world decides to get, you take a look at your world and you set about fixing that. You roll out of bed every morning, you smile and say, the gods have blessed and gifted me another day. Let us make something of it. You hit your knees first thing in the morning. You pray to God. Give me the strength to get through another day. I thank you for another day, this glorious life, and this earth that you have created for me and my progeny. Amen. And you roll with that. And when you find that strength, when you find the things that lift you up, don't be afraid to be evangelical about them. Share them with other people. And if the only thing that they have to fall back on is being dogmatic and shitting on every good thing that brings strength into your life, they don't need to be in your life. You find a fucking common goal. You find fucking people that feel that same spiritual strength. You feel that same level of blessing and appreciation for every goddamn new day that comes. Does that mean we're Pollyanna about it and forget there are motherfuckers like Fauci and Bill Gates in the world and the Klaus Schwabs and all those motherfuckers? No. We observe that. What effect do we have on it? Nothing. So we better fix our world and let the world do what it wants. And in the meantime, man, find that faith. Find that strength. Fix yourself. Clean up your own backyard before you go knocking on your neighbor's door. And while you're cleaning up that backyard and you're finding that strength, don't be afraid to share it. Look at that neighbor and go, hey, man, I see you getting stronger. What can I learn from you? Hey, man, you're better off in life than I am. What can you show me? And what can I give you in exchange for you showing me how to get where you are? I want to be like you when I grow up, whatever it takes. But I know, particularly Chief and a couple other people right now, they're feeling this because they just had some recent loss. I'm feeling it because I lost my dad last year. The one thing you know when you wake up and you take that breath, that is life, son. That is life. So no matter how bad it is, brother, you are fucking blessed. You ever start doubting yourself, come see the Reverend. Because I won't puff your pecker and blow smoke up your ass. I won't do it. I will tell you, hey, look, man, you're fucking failing here. Here's how you could do better. Know that at least one motherfucker feels that there's something redeeming about you, because if I did not, we would not be having this conversation. And that is one more blessing that I have, is that every week I get to have this conversation with all of y'all. I just hope that something that I have to offer you will be enough of a worthwhile exchange in what you guys have to offer me, of knowing that I'm not out here alone. You're not out here alone. So every morning, count those blessings, find that strength, chin down, hands up, keep moving forward. Motherfucker, we are gonna win this thing. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. Oh, wow. Feeling it this week, man. Feeling it. Whew. I love y'all, man. I love y'all very much. I appreciate everything that y'all bring to the table. I appreciate all y'all helping me out. I appreciate I appreciate just not feeling like that lone voice in the wilderness, man. Not feeling like I'm out here John the Baptist wearing a shirt made out of hair and eating locusts and wild honey, man. But I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling what Nietzsche, man. Nietzsche even said that. What is good? What is good? The feeling of power, expanding, becoming greater, and rising. When you take stock of those blessings and you are building your strength, that is what will resonate. That is what will resonate. And I'm having some very, very good luck with these, as Don King would say it, these epiphanous moments of profound religiosity. I'm having a lot of those lately, man. I'm re-examining a whole lot of things. Getting rid of a lot of shit that is no longer necessary or functional for me. And I wish the same for you. But I don't hold myself above y'all. We're all just sitting around the table having a conversation, motherfucker. Next week you bring the coffee. How about that? I love y'all, man. Again, if anything has really moved you guys, you want to toss me a little bit of coin, I'm certainly not above it. I'll pass that little digital collection plate around. I'm on PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, yada, 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 Facebook page, whatever, man. But I understand not everybody is going to be in a position where they can do that. And I get that too, man. Fuck it. We're still in a Biden economy, aren't we? Right? So we're going to go out with a little bit of clutch. You know, I was so close to doing that to making fun of that viral, dance thing from the Wednesday. I was so close to doing that, but I couldn't give myself to do it. Anyway, guys, if you can't afford to throw me any coin, totally get it. We're in a Biden economy. Here's what you can do. Spread the gospel. Next time you come to church, bring a friend. Tell them, say, hey, man, this fat, toothless, crippled motherfucker, he's just a crane operator with some opinions, man, but he's a like mind and a kindred spirit. And he's got some things that might help you out, man. You're in a bad place, maybe he can pull you out of the hole. So bring him along. Turn him onto the program. Let him know. Especially if it's on a platform that's already banned my ass. Makes it even better. But here's what you can do. Definitely get out there, share the message, spread it around, retweet, post it on your own Facebook pages, whatever. But here's what you can definitely do that will help me out. Don't do this for me. Do this for yourselves. And we touched on it a little bit briefly and we went on this. But listen, man. Listen. The prime directives. Live that shit. Every day try to get closer to that. They will try to bury you with the noise. You got to be that signal that breaks through the fucking noise. They will try to bury you with the darkness, man. They will try to dehumanize, demoralize, emasculate you with the darkness. Make you think there's no fucking way out. You got to be that light that shatters the darkness. But most important of all, you have to be that strength. You have to be that strength in a world full of weakness. I'm not just talking about this. It's important, but I'm not just talking about this. You got to have it here, here, and here. You got to be that strength that throws the weakness into stark contrast and overwhelms the fucking weakness. Because if you don't have the strength, you won't be able to break through the noise with your signal. You won't be able to break through the darkness with your light if you don't have the strength. That is the prime directive in the iron rule. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. I love y'all, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you next Sunday, man. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, man. Think about what I said. Make your own world a better place. And the world, just have to get out of your fucking way. Love y'all, man. Peace. See you next Sunday, man. God, thank y'all for being here, man. Thank you. Love y'all, man. Peace.